Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a morning due edition of the Due Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobler, of course.
Hola.
Hola. How's our sound? I saw some people were saying that the sound was shaky.
Buenos dias.
During the countdown. It's been an issue with StreamYard.
What's shaky?
The sound, it was, but I think it's fine now. I tested it on
I don't usually keep my headphones in during the pre-show, but I did. It sounded fine.
Yeah, but sometimes I don't know, on the streaming end it can be a little choppy, I guess. But I listened, it sounded okay to me, so hopefully we're good. I'll have to let StreamYard know.
Sounded all right as far as I could tell.
I'll issue a report. This is Russell's last day in the nation's capital before you're coming back tomorrow, correct?
I'm coming back tomorrow morning. I'm ready to go home. Yeah, I've been here 9 days. It's time to go. It's time to go back. 8 days. Right. I'm going to Congress today. I'm going to do the Congress tour. Then I'm going to go to Georgetown, which everyone tells me is lovely. I've spent enough time inside museums. That'll be nice, taking a walking tour. I have a walking tour book. I'll do a little self-guided tour. And,
so is it a guided tour in Congress?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just go in there yourself. You have to sign up for that.
Are you allowed to film the tour? Or they probably don't allow cameras or video? They probably allow stills, but not video.
I didn't see anything saying you couldn't.
I mean, it's a public building.
You're not going to go into the gallery. To go into the gallery, you have to contact your congressperson.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, no, yeah,
you have to contact your
congressperson,
and then same with the White House tour. You can only get that tour through your congressperson.
You should, while you're on the tour, if you want to film yourself, you should just constantly ask January 6th questions.
Yeah.
So, is this where January 6th happened? Yeah. I want to see the hallway.
How would I get to Nancy Pelosi's office?
Yeah. My uncle Ray Wellstone smeared shit on the wall in one of these places. I'd like to take a selfie. Can we go there? Can we go to where my uncle Ray smeared shit on the wall? And I could maybe take a quick picture. I don't mean to be an inconvenience, but I just, I told him I was going on the tour today. He asked me to send him a selfie of where he smeared his shit on the wall.
He's doing 23 years.
He's doing a dime for smearing shit on the wall outside of AOC's office. Do you think we can go?
That's right?
Yeah.
Do you think a man with IDF should have to do 10 years?
Yeah.
In prison?
I have to print it out and mail it to him in jail. It'll really brighten his day. He's in prison. That would be great. That would be fun if you film that, ask that question.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Be good material. Hey, everybody. Thanks very much for being here today. We got 429 strong in the YouTube chat to start the show, 333 over on Rumble. Appreciate seeing you all here. Kind of an unconventional week this week. We had the big epic show on Sunday with our video presentations, and then we had the debate stream. So just a note to those of you who are listening to this on audio, I didn't put audio podcasts up of the previous 2 streams since one was a debate stream and one was a video documentary stream. So those you really have to watch. So if you're listening on audio, find the video versions of the last 2 podcasts on YouTube and Rumble, because you really have to watch those. It really makes no sense to listen to either of those. So that's the note for our audio friends, our OGs. We started in this game as audio guys, and we still have a devoted listenership of about 12 or 1,300 people who listen on audio. So for you guys,
wow,
try a video out. Try watching a video. Try it. You might like it. Video is cool. Still listen to the audio podcast. You're listening to this one. But yeah, the last 2 shows, video only.
Rustin Keaton, not as ugly as rumored.
Yeah, right. Not as ugly as rumored. Exactly. You'll enjoy it. So please.
Special surprise. Because now he's doing it remotely, we are going to jointly host Jimmy's show next month.
That's right. We are co-hosting the Jimmy Dore Show from the comfort of our homes. We're doing our preview show. I mean, it's a real show, but we're doing one show end of October, and then we have, the 11th, 13th, and the 15th. We'll be hosting the Jimmy Dore Show from here. So that is going to be basically due dissidence with a blue curtain backdrop instead of the parchment paper. I mean, that's
we'll
pretty much what
trade
it's going
off
to be.
the hosting more than we do here. I'll put together half the segments. You'll do half the segments.
Exactly.
Because when we go over there, I can do more culture stuff. So
yeah,
I'll do the culture. You'll do the hard news.
Yeah. And now we'll be sort of splitting the hosting duties, which is cool in a way. Although I gotta say, I think my jokes are funnier on Jimmy's show than they are here, because when you don't actually put the segment together, you just kind of sit and hang out while you're doing the segment and think of what jokes to crack. You have all this time to come up with your jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
But the tricky thing is getting them in.
Yeah.
Because the other person is, you don't want to break their flow because they're trying to do the information dump.
Right.
Right. So you gotta pick your moments.
That's true. All right, folks. So we got a great show for you all this morning. Thank you all for being here. Let's work that algorithm this morning, okay? Let's hit that like button on YouTube and on Rumble. Hit that subscribe button. We crossed the 75,000 subscriber mark. How's that? Thank you all for your help in doing that. That was a nice milestone to hit. Next up is 100K. That's the next milestone.
Yep. Maybe my volume is low. Somebody say is my volume actually low? Do you still think it's low?
It was a little low in the pre-show banter, but now I hear you fine. But here, I can give you a little boost if you want.
Give me a little
fine.
boost, I guess.
We could do that.
I can't tell.
We can make that happen. All right, I give you a little boost here. There's a little boost.
All right.
Beautiful. All right. Here, I'll turn this off too. Talk now.
Testing.
All right, now I'm going to talk now.
Do
I hear myself? Hold on, let me see if I hear myself in your echo. 1 2 1 2. No, I don't. All right, so I could turn your echo cancellation off. All right, that should be a little better. All right, everybody. Well, like I said, let's work that algorithm in the morning. Let's wake our friends up and get them in here. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button on YouTube. Smash that follow button over on Rumble. We've got a lot to get to today, but a shock poll released yesterday from the Arab American Institute, which is a very reputable organization. This is James Zogby's organization. He is the brother of renowned pollster John Zogby. So this is not a joke organization here, which gives this polling more weight than it might otherwise have. Since we first began polling Arab Americans 30 years ago, the community has consistently favored the Democratic Party, with the margin of that support holding steady at nearly 2-1 for the past decade and a half. The Biden administration's handling of the crisis in Gaza, however, has eroded that support, resulting in Arab Americans now evenly divided between the two parties, 38% for each. Both Democrats and Republicans saw an increase in identification at the expense of independents. Democrats saw the largest increase in identification after hitting an all-time low, 23%, in the immediate aftermath of October 7th. Equally revealing is the fact that by a slight majority, 46-43, voters in the community say they would prefer to see Republicans controlling the next Congress. Turning to the presidential race, so here's the big headline. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are virtually tied 42 to 41 with Arab American voters, with Trump leading by a point. Looking more closely with those that report they are very likely to vote, Trump leads Harris 46 to 42. Only 79% of Democrats support Harris, while 89% of Republicans support Trump. Kamala Harris regained much of the support Biden lost after October 7th, but Harris remains 18 points below Biden's 2020 level of support with Arab American voters. While some headlines based on a few organizational member surveys have suggested a third-party candidate could garner a plurality of the Arab American vote, this nationwide poll of voters suggests otherwise. All the third-party candidates combined received just 12% of the Arab American vote. Now, caveat to that, in Michigan, they're polling at around 40%. So in the states where it's most important, actually, you could argue the most important state in terms of the Arab vote, Arabs are voting for Jill Stein 40%, which is much higher than Trump, who's in second, and obviously Kamala, who's dead last among Arabs in Michigan. But nationwide, it's Trump who is actually the beneficiary of the community's anger and despair over the Biden administration's failure to prevent the unfolding genocide in Gaza. So they start out saying Arab Americans tend to vote Democrat 2-1, meaning 60-30. So that gives you a baseline of about 30% Arab support for Republicans. Now, because Democrats have tanked, what you're seeing is a protest vote that's kind of being split, so to speak, between Trump and the third parties. Trump gained, about 10 to 12% of that drop off, and the third parties gained, 10 to 12% of that drop off, depending on the margin of error.
Really, if what your intention is to make a statement that the Democrats are not going to be able to commit genocide and get your vote, voting for Trump makes no sense. Just vote for Jill Stein.
Right.
Yeah. Because Trump is not any less genocidal.
That is true. That is true. However, responses show that there is still time for candidates to capture voter support from those that rank the crisis in Gaza as an immediate concern. When asked if Harris were either to demand an immediate ceasefire and unimpeded humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza, or to withhold diplomatic support and arms shipments to Israel until they implement a ceasefire and withdraw their forces from Gaza, Harris's vote among Arab Americans increases to around 60%. 60%. So this is what we did a segment a few weeks back where MSNBC did this report showing that among all voters in the key swing states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, supermajorities wanted a ceasefire and majorities wanted either conditioned aid to Israel or canceled aid to Israel. That was among all voters in swing states, not just Arab voters. Among Arab voters here, there's data here that tells you she could undo this damage right now, by just taking the correct stance. And there's 1 month to go. This new Harris tally captures 1/3 of Trump voters while virtually wiping out the votes that would go to the third party candidate. So basically, she could get all the Jill Stein protest votes back, and she could win back about 1/3 of Trump's vote of the Arab share. If Trump were to make the same demands on Israel, he too would benefit, increasing his vote tally to 55%. This increased vote count for Trump comes from 1/4 of Harris voters and 1/2 of the votes going to third-party candidates. While these measures are needed and important to end the war, even less dramatic steps in the midst of a campaign could have been taken to win over more Arab American support. All right. So now we can show you there's text here, but the graphics are more powerful here. So 55% of Arab Americans would have been more likely to support Harris if the DNC allowed a Palestinian speaker. If they had just allowed a Palestinian speaker, she could have made up a lot of ground with these voters that she's losing. Now, this is interesting because we hear a lot about how Jewish students feel unsafe on college campuses and in public in the wake of October 7th, how Jews feel, unsafe. Arab Americans increasingly face discrimination. So from April 2023 to now, you have a 10% increase in Arabs who say they face anti-Arab discrimination. since October 7th. In terms of Arabs who are concerned about discrimination, that's up to 64% from only 50% in October of last year. We don't hear article after article after article about how Arabs feel unsafe. No, that never makes the press.
And you won't.
And you won't. Arab Americans increasingly concerned about personal safety. So I'm sorry, that was the discrimination question. The personal safety one, that's even more drastic, though. A plurality of Arabs in October 2023 did not feel concerned about their personal safety. They said no, 49, and only 45% said yes. Now, look at that number. 60% say yes, they're concerned about personal safety. Only 38% say no. That's pretty dramatic. What was that study that came out that Nick tweeted out, no one gives a fuck or whatever? It was, 44% of Jewish students on campus said they felt concerns for their safety. Well, this is a convincing majority of Arabs now saying they feel concerned for their safety, and yet you don't see that kind of ink spill.
Well, of course. They don't do TV shows like Homeland where the main threat are Jews.
Right.
Exactly. The culture is not rife with anti-Semitic imagery in mainstream media. So you already have the groundwork laid for anti-Arab discrimination. And then post-October 7th, you have the Zionists exerting a lot of pressure and a lot of leverage to portray Arabs as a brutal, medieval, backward, dangerous people. And that's always there as white noise in our media. And they've just cranked it up post-October 7th to justify their genocide.
Yes. Yep. That is true. And the other thing that I have to say here, so obviously you have now Trump nationally as the sort of accidental beneficiary of this protest vote. About half of it's going to the third parties, half of it is going to him. What this also shows you is the true, Russell wrote this article as kind of a half-serious proposition a few years back. It's one that we keep coming back to. The sort of changing demographics between the Democratic Party and the GOP. And what you're seeing now is if Trump has a lead or is tied, it seems like even accounting for margin of error, it's pretty much a dead heat among Arab voters. It's pretty much a dead heat among Latino voters. Trump has made inroads with black voters, not as many as he should have. He was polling up, north of 20%. Now he's back down around, the 14 to 17% mark, which is not terribly surprising given a lot of the choices he's made in these past couple months, namely, insisting on litigating whether Kamala Harris is Indian or black. Yes, that appeals to a certain cohort of black voters, but not most. I think he's hurt himself there. Kamala hasn't helped herself. Kamala is still polling under 80% with black voters, and Trump is around 15, which means there's still some out there who have not made up their mind or are voting third party. But the point is, you have Latino vote basically split. You have the Arab vote basically split. You have Trump doing much better with black voters than Republicans historically do. You have Democrats losing major ground among union households. A poll came out, Kamala Harris has only a 9-point lead among union households, which is far behind where previous Democrats have polled. So you ask yourself, given all of this polling, how is this a close race? This is a close race because what Russell said was true, which is that the old Chamber of Commerce, white-collar PMC voter has migrated from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. They are now the Democrats' voters. The old PMC, Bush-Cheney Republican who lives in the suburbs and, is sort of marginally involved, knowledgeable about these things, they now vote Democrat. That must be true. It must be true. There's no way this would be a 50-50 race if it weren't true. Because if I told you 15 years ago Republicans have about 15% of the African American vote. They have
Well,
almost
that
half of the
alone
Latino
should
vote,
finish
half
it.
of the Arab vote, and
Right.
almost half of the Union vote. You would say, well, it's a landslide for the Republicans. The only way the Democrats keep this close is that they have taken the old white collar Republican base and made it their own.
Right. And those are the only people really who are represented in our politics, because in the end, the Republicans may do this very traditional anti-intellectual American signaling. Yeah, we don't need none of that fancy health care. Yeah, they may do that, but is that really a pro-worker agenda?
Right.
Is their position on abortion really a pro-worker agenda? Is even their position on gay rights a majoritarian position at this point? So you're in a weird place now where the Republicans, post Reagan, post GW, they mastered Nixon's silent majority cultural resentment language. So they pulled in a lot of people that way. But they haven't adjusted their policies.
Right.
Now, some people look to J.D. Vance, but J.D. Vance has all of his crazy shit with IVF and all of this crap. So will you wind up, if you keep getting these workers filing into the Republican Party, will you eventually have a reckoning where that voting base really tries to turn it into the FDR era Democratic Party, a true workers' party? Maybe. We're not there yet. The Republicans are certainly not a party for workers, quite the opposite.
Right.
In the end, how are Republicans going to handle something like a longshoreman strike? They're gonna Taft-Hartley it right away.
Right.
So but then on the other side, the ruling class are the only people who have representation. And even within the Republican Party, all that working class language, it's a smokescreen. In the end, on economics, not only are they going to rule in favor of those elites, they'll go further. They'll go further than the Democrats will. That's where you're caught between these two mob bosses. But the Democratic Party, they are Rockefeller Republicans. They're socially liberal Republicans. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to explain how the polls are this tight. I mean, in Michigan, there's a very organized campaign. The Abandon Harris campaign, which started out as Abandon Biden, obviously. They are organizing specifically to boycott the Democratic ticket with the express goal of not voting for Donald Trump either. That's why Jill Stein has such strong numbers in Michigan with Arab voters, 40%. Where that organization is not as present, it kind of makes sense that people would defect, at least some of them, to Trump, because third parties just don't have the high profile that they have in some places, because there's actually organized movements, to get people into those camps. Nationwide, yeah, it makes sense that Trump would pick up some of that protest vote. And I want everybody to cite this number. Whenever you hear some of the, more lib-adjacent commentators in this space, or even peers of yours on social media who try and say, well, Trump is going to be worse for Gaza than Harris. Well, it seems like the Arab voters are willing to take that chance, or willing to, at the very least, if they don't see it as taking a chance, they're willing to make a statement that we will not reward genocide, even if it means a worse outcome in the short term. But I guarantee you, the way they're thinking is, it's not a worse outcome. It's not really a worse. How could it be worse? It can't be worse.
I was just going to say, man, I saw somebody say, what are they going to do? Dig them up and kill them again?
Yeah, no.
Like how how much worse than genocide can genocide be? It's a fucking genocide. They are unmercifully killing as many of these people as they can.
Yeah.
There's no sense that, well, because the Democrats are in charge, Israel is exercising some restraint. they're not exercising any restraint. What they do under Trump is going to be exactly what they're doing now, killing everybody.
Yeah, I think what the only possible difference is the speed at which it happens, because Trump is under no obligation because of the composition of his base and donors like the Adelsons. He's under no obligation to make it look like he's trying to rein them in. Democrats have to look like they're trying to rein them in. Right. They have to call them up.
But it has no effect.
It has no effect. The only effect is that it draws out the timeline a little bit more because they have to move a little bit slower. Hey, you have to let this humanitarian aid in. Some of it, not all of it, not even most of it. They were just caught lying about that last week. So I think the only possible difference is the speed at which it happens. Trump will just give them the green light. Go ahead, do what you have to do. Kamala's going to have to pretend that she's trying to control them. But as we know now, they are not controlling them. 1 year later, we're in a war with Lebanon now. Right. This is now the Greater Israel Project. Tim Walz said in the debate, the expansion of Israel is very important. This is an expansionist war at this point. And I think the only possible difference, and this is only a possible difference, I'm not even saying this will happen, is that it'll happen at a faster pace with Trump because optics are not an issue for him. He just comes out and says, yes, we need to do what the Adelsons tell me to do, and that means we have to get done what you want to get done. I got you to Golan Heights in about 15 minutes. Like, that's his thing. His thing is finish up so we can have peace, meaning clear Gaza out already. Whereas the Democrats have to do this dance. That's the only difference. And I think the Arab voters recognize that, which is why I think some of them are defecting to Trump. The statement there is not so much a pro-Trump statement, but it is a statement to punish Democrats. Right, That's what the abandoned Harris people are saying. What they are saying, what Shama told us, she works obviously hand in hand with that movement in Michigan. They're actually having a rally in Dearborn, Michigan, this Sunday. Workers strike back with the Jill Stein campaign and the abandoned Harris movement. They're having a same sort of event that they had in Chicago. They're having this weekend. I will tweet out the details for that. You should go if you're in the area, obviously. They are not shy about their goal. Their goal is not just to mount some protest vote. Their goal is to cost Kamala Harris Michigan. They want her to lose that state. Now, lose that state could only mean one thing. Jill Stein's not going to win Michigan. That means Trump wins Michigan. That's their goal. They understand that this type of politics cannot be rewarded. And so that is their goal. And so it makes sense that, broadly speaking, you would have a certain amount of that protest vote going to the third parties and a certain amount of that protest vote going to Trump.
Right.
All right. Let's take some Rumble rants and super chats here. Eric Cousseau says, going to see Iron Maiden and The Who tomorrow night in Chula Vista, San Diego. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a different. No. Is that the real Who? That's a different Who.
Not that Who. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's got to be something else. It's not the WHO. The HU. Hope you enjoy the show, Eric.
I don't even know who that is.
Drop some 666.
Yeah, I'm going November 2nd with our friend Heeb.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think we can do it. If Eric Cousseau is going to the show and he's a frequent donor, why don't we do one for old time's sake? Here we go.
Right.
There we go. See, Eric Cousseau, we made you happy.
There you go.
Contract Rook. Too bad you didn't have a stack of "Fuck This Country" stickers that you could tag all over DC. Yeah, there you go. Maybe that'll be a T-shirt. Hey, maybe that'll be in the merch store. We're getting the merch store.
That'll be for when Keaton comes down here.
Yeah, over the weekend, I'm gonna put that merch store together.
Did you look at the folder?
What's that?
I set aside a whole folder.
Yeah, I'll do it.
We're doing it. Merch.
We're doing it over the next few days. That's the project for this weekend. Hopefully by Sunday we'll have it online and connected to the channel. Eric Cousseau, is there a Nicolas Cage National Treasures tour?
Don't think so. When I get home, I'll put together my best of pictures of I've mostly been hanging out in the Smithsonian museums.
Yeah.
I did the American History Museum, the National Archives, the American Art Museum, the African American Museum, the Aerospace Museum.
Wow. So, and today you got Congress. So Russ is doing a lot of learning.
Today I got Congress. I'm doing Georgetown. I walked the mall. So I'll do a picture compilation Sunday.
Very cool. JM, thanks for the $2 and the thumbs up. Appreciate that very much. Como Freak, thanks for the $5. Call it a gut feeling, but I deep down feel like Trump might actually win this election. Very close. Very close.
Hey, it could definitely happen.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
At this point, I got to say, both camp supporters are so fucking repulsive. It's hard to say where the greater Schadenfreude lies.
Yeah.
I'd say for speaking for us, I'd say we're kind of good either way. I'd say at this point we'll take great pleasure in either group crying.
Yes. That's what you can take some comfort in on election night. One group of just insufferable assholes will feel totally owned by the end of election night.
No matter who wins.
Exactly.
Yes.
See, so it's a win-win.
No matter who loses, we win.
No matter who loses, we win. That's correct. All right, what do we got here? Angry Bird, thanks for the 50 pounds. Let's get a virtual cowbell for Angry Bird over here. Can you do the soundboard stuff? Or can you not access it?
I can. No, I can access it.
Excuse me. God damn it. Hi, guys.
You cut that one too long.
Yeah, that's all right. Angry Bird, this is an interesting super chat for us. Hi, guys. Why so happy? The world is going to shit. I'm safe living near Glasgow doing overtime to fund use. Keep up the good work regarding U.S.
Oh, to fund us.
To fund us. To fund
I
us.
See. To fund use. No. Go on.
Keep up the good work regarding USA has been a bitch of Israel. Thank you, Angry Bird. You know, that's not a criticism we've gotten recently, is that we're too sunny and too happy. We haven't really gotten that.
No.
That's feedback we really have not.
We'll try to bring it down.
Yeah, we'll try and tone it down. Yeah, we'll try and show a little bit more respect. Yeah, no, particularly me. I have not gotten that feedback in a while. Hey, Keaton, you've been a little too happy lately. You've been a little too optimistic and too rosy in your outlook. Big Chain, thanks for the $4.99. But thank you very much for that generous donation, Angry Bird. Thanks for the super sticker, Big Chain. Appreciate that. Good morning, says Michael Castillo for $20. Thank you, Michael. That conversation about the Congress tour and smearing poo was exactly what I needed. There you go. Wake you up is that what Angry Bird meant by we're too happy because we worked a little comedy bit at the top? Maybe that's it. Hey, I'm trying. I know. Okay, so people are. I'm noticing in the comments section that my doom and gloom outlook is starting to wear a bit on people, and I apologize about that. But as I clarified in that labor segment, I think I'm appropriately cynical about the election, but I'm not doom and gloom necessarily about we the people. I think this ILA strike is pretty cool. And I think that is something definitely worth celebrating. And so there are rays of hope. You just have to look to where they are rather than try and create them out of nowhere. That's my opinion.
See that's the thing. And that was the note I was giving you last time. You have to make that more clear, because I think people think you're rooting for the Lord Humongous to win this election, and roving motorcycle gangs and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. All right. Fine.
You should make it more clear that you see a way out, and that it's actually a call to rally around something better than this.
Okay.
I don't think that comes across, because by the time you're done with your 5 minutes of fuck the country, they're not listening anymore.
Yeah.
By the time you get to but gone.
Yeah,
they've already checked out.
They already checked out. They already went to watch cat videos. They need to cheer themselves up, right?
And I've seen in the comments people think I'm high. I'm not high. It's just early.
Yeah,
folks, I haven't smoked weed. Probably the last time was, I don't know, man, maybe 2009.
Wow.
The last time I had. Oh no. I smoked a roach in the pandemic. That was the last time.
All right.
And before that, it was like 2009.
So a couple of times in the last 15 years. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
All right, folks. We are going to move right along. So Ta-Nehisi Coates has a new book out, and Ta-Nehisi Coates is a real kind of example of what Russell wrote about the social justice movement turning on its creators. Ta-Nehisi Coates was really a favorite amongst the sort of liberal intelligentsia. It was always a bit more too progressive for their taste, but they liked that. They liked having him, they liked hearing what he had to say. They really sort of propped him up. And now he wrote a big section of this new book about Israel and how when he went to Israel, it very much reminded him of stories that his parents used to tell him about Jim Crow. And so he brings those stories back to the book. And now, of course, the sort of press campaign is in full swing for his new book. And he got a little static from one of the CBS hosts here. And this went, I think, pretty well.
Book, you would be left. But if you were to read this book, you would be left wondering, why does any of Israel exist? What a horrific place, committing horrific acts on a daily basis. So I think the question is central and key. If Israel has a right to exist, and if your answer is no, then I guess the question becomes, why do the Palestinians have a right to exist? Why do 20 different Muslim countries have a right to exist?
My answer is that no country in this world establishes its ability to exist through rights. Countries establish their ability to exist through force, as America did. And so I think this question of right to Israel does exist. It's a fact. The question of its right is not a question that I would be faced with any other country.
Beautiful. I mean, that is a perfect answer. I've struggled with exactly how to answer that question, because when people say, does Israel have a right to exist? I say, well, no country has a right to exist. Countries have a responsibility to abide by international law. And when they breach that responsibility, they forfeit whatever right they have to exist in their current form. But this even gets to it, I think, in a much stronger way, which is that countries don't exist through rights. Countries exist through force. Countries establish themselves. And once they establish themselves, they simply are. Israel does exist. It's a fact. So this constant obsession, do they have a right to exist? Well, what are you basically saying? When you ask, does Israel have a right to exist? You're saying, do they not have a special privilege that allows them to function however they want, irrespective of international law? That's what you're basically saying. Are they above reproach? Right? Are they above judgment? No state is above judgment. No entity is above judgment. And so that gets to it in a very existential way that I never really put together. And so that part, and this goes on, we're going to play the whole thing, but that I thought was an especially valuable answer, because I am totally going to use that from now on. I'm taking that from him.
I go one step further. My answer is no. No, they don't. Did apartheid South Africa have a right to exist? I mean, as the entity that it is, under the premises that it is. No, it does not have a right to exist. In fact, people of good conscience should actively be working to dismantle it the way they did apartheid South Africa. No, not only does it not have a right to exist, it should not exist in its current form. This is their worst nightmare. And yes, this is the first article I wrote about this after October 7th. I was looking at the students who had been reared on all this social justice, which for anyone paying attention, you could see was aimed at distracting them from agitating for meaningful change in the present, and also from developing any kind of an economic theory or class consciousness. And then when October 7th happened, and these same people who were talking to them about decolonize your mind were telling them to support Israel, or at least not to protest so loud, they realized suddenly it was a red pill moment for a generation, where they realized, holy shit, they didn't mean any of this. They only wanted to talk about this in the context of microaggressions and the past. They did not want to deal with the fact that we are supporting a settler colonial project in the present. And if we protest it, the very same people who were laying France Fanon on us are going to turn on us and expel us from school. Now it's reaching their leading lights. This is their worst nightmare because Ta-Nehisi Coates was really one of their favorite exemplars of the social justice theory. He really made his name with the case for reparations. Why do they support that? For the same exact reason that they supported the Black Lives Matter protests. Because in the end, they knew it wasn't going to do anything. In the end, they knew it wasn't going to go anywhere.
It couldn't pass.
They knew the defunding the police, none of that was ever going to happen. So, oh, yes, the case for reparations. Yes, that's all these people are about. That's all they're about. They want to virtue signal off of ideas that are going to have no impact on their lives. That's it. Now, to have this guy that they really propped up and put out there as a moral example, making this kind of an apartheid case against Israel, that is some chickens coming home to roost shit, and I'm loving it.
Absolutely.
You write a book that delegitimizes the pillars of Israel. It seems like an effort to topple the whole building of it. So I come back to the question, and it's what I struggled with throughout this book. What is it that so particularly offends you about the existence of a Jewish state that is a Jewish safe place and not any of the other states out there?
There's nothing that offends me about a Jewish state. I am offended by the idea of states built on ethnocracy, no matter where they are.
Muslim included.
I would not want a state where any group of people laid down their citizenship rights based on ethnicity. The country of Israel is a state in which half the population exists on one tier of citizenship, and everybody else that's ruled by Israelis exists on another tier, including Palestinian Israeli citizens. The only people that exist on that first tier are Israeli Jews. Why do we support that? Why is that okay? I'm the child of Jim Crow. I'm the child of people that were born into a country where that was exactly the case of American apartheid. I walk over there and I walk through the occupied territories and I walk down a street in Hebron. And a guy says to me, I can't walk down the street unless I profess my religion. I'm with another path. No. I want to. This is very, very important.
It is important. It is
extremely important.
Yeah, lay it down.
You think it's important? I mean, if you thought it was so important, you may not have asked that question. It seems like you're trying to delegitimize. Yeah.
Lay it down, brother.
Yeah, lay it down. Right. Alvin says it seems like you're trying to delegitimize the very pillars of Israel. Well, yes. Yes, if by the pillars of Israel you mean that it is an apartheid ethno state, then yes, yes, that has to be criticized. Who do you think this guy is? Like, and then he says, well, what is the problem with the Jewish state? And his answer is good. He says it's not that it's a Jewish state; it's that it is an ethno state. An ethno state of any kind should not be supported. Right? I mean, that is illegitimate, yes, according to the premises that we try and run societies by here in the quote-unquote advanced world, right? So what are we doing? Propping up this apartheid ethno state. It's like, but the inability, and this is what I mean, like, and this is where the brainwashing comes in. A guy like this asked that question, he only sees it through the lens of, well, you must be the enemy of the Jews. Your problem is with the Jews.
Yeah.
Whereas he says, no, my problem is not with the Jews. My problem is with apartheid. That's the problem. That's the problem.
Well, and that is Hasbara. That is the propaganda project that the Zionists have been embarking on throughout their entire existence, to the point that people don't really remember the history of Zionism as being in opposition to the great majority of Jews. The majority of Jews did not support it. They saw it as a crackpot scheme. They saw it as a crazy idea, and a lot of them saw it as contradictory to the religion, as we'll see in a video later. That's when you see people like Rebbe Weiss, that is what they're articulating, and that's what they're preserving. Judaism is a religion, like any other religion. It is not tied to a race or a place, by the 19th century, that is how it had evolved. This idea that, oh, the Jews were waiting 2,000 years to return to Israel, it's total bullshit. A small sect of non-religious Jews became obsessed with this idea.
Right. Yep. All right. So I backed this up about 10 seconds just so we get the momentum back, so we understand fully the context, so he can lay it down for this guy.
Street in Hebron. And a guy says to me, I can't walk down the street unless I profess my religion. I'm with another pastor. No. I want to. This is very, very important.
It is important. It is
extremely important.
Yeah, let me lay it down.
I'm working with the person that is guiding me is a Palestinian whose father, whose grandfather and grandmother was born in this town. And I have more freedom to walk than he does. He can't ride on certain roads. He can't get water in the same way that Israeli citizens who live less than a mile away from him can.
And why is that okay?
Why
is that? Why is there no agency in this book for the Palestinians? They exist in your narrative merely as victims of the Israelis, as though they were not.
I mean, you can't make stupid like this
Oh
up.
my God. Oh my God.
You can't make stupid.
Why aren't you giving agency to the blacks in apartheid South Africa?
Exactly.
You're only blaming the whites for apartheid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
Essence.
He's saying, aren't they to blame for the fact that they can't access water in the same way that Israeli Jews can access water?
Well,
what is it about them that makes us oppress them? It's this very like abusive husband kind of thing. Yep. Look what you make us do. Look why do you make us hit you like that?
No, look, when I keep a few crazy Zionists around on my social media as listening posts to what these people are saying. And the brainwashing is just stunning. You know, I saw one of these people say, and this is a few months ago, how many peace offerings from Israel has Hamas turned down now? I lose track. 7, 8. I don't even know where they get this from, but this is what they believe. What he's getting into is the broader narrative that I remember this narrative when I was in Hebrew school. That is core to the myth of Israel, that they are always putting out their hands for peace. And you'll hear this a lot. This is a stock line from them. We have no partner for peace.
Right.
We have no partner. There's no one for us to negotiate with on the other side. What passes for liberal with these people is it's not the fault of the people. They have this bad leadership, with the underlying implication being that they have a backward culture that empowers this kind of leadership. It's very much these ignorant savages. They won't say it, but that's the underlying implication. They're ignorant savages being abused by leadership that takes advantage of their ignorance and their backward ways.
Exactly. And besides from being, just as you described there, a very racist point to make, this is a politically sort of illiterate point to make also. Because he's saying, well, do they have agency? Well, actually, like, as a matter of political facts, they don't have agency. They are penned into an open-air concentration camp. They're not allowed to organize militarily, economically. If you are to be ascribed agency, you have to be given the autonomy to actually organize economically. That is the basis of any state power. Whereas Gaza, what was it? I forget the numbers. I had these at my fingertips a year ago. But what is it? Something like 80% of their economy was reliant on foreign aid, something like that. It was like a 50% unemployment rate. I mean, these numbers it can't function as an autonomous society. So if a society has no autonomy, then of course it has no agency. Of course it has no agency. And that is the fault of the people who stole the land and locked them in the cage. It's not the fault of the people who were locked in the cage. It's the most obvious thing in the world.
Well, and as he's about to get into, but they've been offered peace. Okay, you want to talk about agency? They make a lot of the Oslo Accords.
Right.
Okay, the Oslo Accords were not going to allow them to have their own diplomatic services. They were not going to be allowed to have their own army. They were not going to be allowed to have a contiguous land. It was going to be a patchwork with Israeli settlements remaining in the West Bank You were not going to join Gaza and the West Bank back together into one Palestinian state. It was a smokescreen of, look, we offered them peace. It was a peace that no leader of the Palestinian people could afford to accept.
Right.
Not offered peace at any juncture, as though they don't have a stake in this as well. What is their role in the lack of a Palestinian?
I have a very, 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 very moral compass about this. And again, perhaps it's because of my ancestry. Either apartheid is right or it's wrong. It's really, really simple. Either what I saw was right or it's wrong. I am, for instance, against the death penalty. What the person did to get the death penalty, it really doesn't matter to me. I don't care if they were selling a nickel bag of marijuana or if they were a serial killer. I am against the death penalty. I am against a state that discriminates against people on the basis of ethnicity. I'm against that. There is nothing the Palestinians could do that would make that okay for me. My book is not based on the hyper-morality of the Palestinian people.
Right. So, I mean, I don't disagree with that answer, but it wasn't as strong as ours. I think he should have nailed him more on the agency point. What do you mean, do they have agency? They've been denied agency. The whole project of Israel has been to deny agency to the Palestinian people. That's been the whole point. That's been the whole point. Not that answer was bad, but you know,
that's not a bad answer because he's forcing them to respond to the core moral issue.
Right.
Do you believe in an ethno state or do you not? He's boiling it down to its essence in a way that is almost impossible for them to defend Israel.
Right.
In the face of what he's saying. Well, do you support apartheid? How do they say yes?
Right. Right. How do you say yes without coming off as the racist that you are, which that guy obviously is? These are just anti-Arab white racists. I mean, that's what this is at its core. And they've been brainwashed into believing that they're not that. I think most people who feel this way don't actually view themselves as villainous bigots. I don't think Dean Phillips sees himself that way.
No.
But he is.
No.
He is.
Well, because they've been so brainwashed with the Zionist propaganda that yes, their underlying belief, and you're right, it is very much the same as British colonials would have believed that they're bringing enlightenment to these people.
Right.
If only they would stop being savages, they would have it much better. We wouldn't have to massacre them if they would behave themselves.
Right. Yep. Very much. Look what you made me do. That very much the ethos. All righty, folks. We are going to take a quick game break to give a little plug to our friend Dan Richmond of the Hebe and Goy podcast. So if you're looking for a break from politics, how about listening to two old dudes complain about everything from recreational nose blowing to adult milk drinkers? So for more information, you want to search Hebe and Goy where you get your podcast. Very funny show by our friend and supporter Dan Richmond. So go to Hebe and Goy, A-N-D, not the ampersand, hebeandgoy.com, or search Hebe and Goy on YouTube and subscribe to their YouTube channel. It's a really funny show. It's a very enjoyable listen. You know, the kind of sense of humor that Dan has is similar to ours. You know, he called into the Patreon show the other day because he's in the path of the storms down in the southeast, and so I asked him, you know, if he was safe, and he says, "Oh, don't give me that safe bullshit." He says, "You know, ever since COVID, I'm sick of people asking if I'm safe." So I said, "Well, I wasn't talking about COVID. I'm talking about the hurricane that's, you know, left your community 11 feet underwater." So it seems like a reasonable question, right?
Sure.
But you know, he pushed back, and that's what makes this show funny because, you know, it's about two guys who, you know, create problems for themselves in life like that. They, you know, they get into these sort of petty arguments with people for no reason. So that's makes it a fun show, makes it an enjoyable show. It's like Seinfeld.
Stole our act.
Yeah, he stole our act. Right, exactly. Yeah, it's about a dysfunctional Jewish man and his goy friend trying to navigate life in Florida. So check it out, hebeandgoy.com. And because he has my sense of humor, I know he won't be mad at me for revealing that conversation because that was on our patron show. It was on our patron show on Monday. That was a funny call. We had a couple of really funny calls on Monday. That was a raucous time. Yeah.
Yes, that was a funny show.
That was
plug my tour, man. I don't even know where it's at because I haven't gone over that.
All right, so go ahead. I'll bring it up. Go ahead, talk.
Okay, so October 25th, October 26th, I am coming out of retirement for 2 nights only to give my weird New York tour. It was the tour I developed as my answer to Halloween tours, which tend to be ghost tours, which I don't like doing. So instead, I put together tales of the macabre, the bizarre, the strange, the conspiratorial. And unlike the ghost tours, it's all true. So on this tour, I take you to the site of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. I take you to a spot at NYU where G.G. Allen played one of his last gigs. If you know, you know. I will take you to the site of a very famous Weather Underground bombing in 1970. And what I consider a highlight of that tour, the site of an MK Ultra safe house in the 50s and 60s. And as an added bonus, the tour ends about 3 blocks from the pizza place I always talk up when the subject comes up, Bleecker Street Pizza. At the end of the tour, you can go get a Nona slice. So come out 2 nights only. I will be taking up my old occupation to take you around all my favorite weird spots in Greenwich Village.
All right. So for tickets there, dudedistance.com/tour. I know we've sold a few of them, so they got to be going pretty quick. I don't think we have many tickets left, especially for Saturday. And Saturday's tour will be live streamed exclusively for paid subscribers of the show at Patreon, Substack, and Locals. All right. Let's go to some more super chats here. Let's see. Where were we? Here we are. Mike, thanks for the $30. That's very kind of you. Don't understand the dead heat with Arab voters. Thought there would be larger abandonment of the Democratic Party. Well, they lost about a third of support. That is significant. And in the swing states, they've lost even more. Don't forget, that was a national poll. In the swing states, they're down, under 20%. Kamala was at 12% of Arab voters in Michigan as of the last poll. Ahmad Abdelkader, Ahmad Abdelkader says, I am a Palestinian American from Minnesota. I will not vote for Genocide Kamala, Genocide Tim, and Genocide Amy. I also will not vote for Genocide Donald. There you go. Good on you, my friend. Kenman, thanks for the $2.79, says, I love your inspirational nihilism. Thank you. Appreciate that. Cryosynth, thanks for the $2. Dear Asteroid, Earth has a right to exist. Thank you, Cryosynth. James Vanderzan, and thanks for the $1.99. Imagine if U.S. government protected workers like with Israel and Ukraine. Absolutely. Thank you, James. Hobbs45 said, why did they rush the Beetlejuice sequel after only waiting 38 years? If they'd waited another 20, Michael Keaton would be dead and there would be technology to reanimate him. Good point, Hobbs. Thank you. Corey Weichman, let's have a cowbell for Corey. Thank you, Corey, for that $49.99. Appreciate that. Thank you, guys, for making it rain for us this morning.
Muchas gracias, señores y señoritas.
Muchas gracias. So Corey says, I, for one, find Keaton's doom and gloom, fuck the country, refreshing and dare say energizing. Nothing like telling your ultra-lib relatives, fuck the country, as a rebuttal to their pleas to vote blue. Keep up the gloom, Keaton. Yeah, that is a pretty boss response.
Weiss 2028, fuck the country.
Fuck the country. Yeah, there's really nothing that they can tell you. Like, once you respond with that, there really is no counter-argument from them, is there? Right? Like, that's pretty much, like, once you respond there, they're all, they have to be like, okay, I guess this conversation is over, right?
Well, with you, they can come back with, well, but don't you have kids? With me, I could say, they're grown. They lived their life.
Yeah, right. There you go.
They had a good run.
Yeah. Well, see, this is where the slogan might need a little work, because as Russell was talking about earlier, I don't mean that ordinary people should suffer. I don't wish that on us. That's why we have to support the longshoremen. Yeah. The longshoremen. What's that guy, Harold Daggett?
We got to try to get somebody from them on.
Yeah. Well, I would like to. There is a port in Albany, but as I understand, the port in Albany is going to stay open for some kind of technical reason. I don't know what it is.
Well, there's a port in New York City.
No, I'm saying I could go and maybe do a report on them, and maybe you could go find if there's a picket line somewhere we could do some
That's what
reporting
I'm saying.
there. Yeah.
I'll give you a fun fact. So the port in New York, that's local 817. They used to be known as the pistol local because 80% of them had convictions on their record at one time. So the deal that Lucky Luciano worked out with Oni Madden, the Irish mob boss, and the Irish Hell's Kitchen. So that local belonged to the Irish all the way through the Westies, all the way down into the 80s.
Oh, wow. You just cut out for a second, but then you came back.
Yeah, I saw
Did
that.
You see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Must be the Wi-Fi getting tired over there in Washington. Noah Goop says, I'm seeing some news articles that Israel bombs. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I did hear about the airbase in Syria, which is under Russian control. Yes. Kind of sketchy sources, it looks like, but something to keep an eye on. Yeah, I would say
I
so.
only saw that in meme form, but I didn't see an article.
I think I've seen articles
But
about it.
now I guess, yeah, because I saw it yesterday.
Here we go. Fact. Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the greatest fictional character ever. Also, Rush should wear a rhinestone codpiece for the Congress tour.
That would be pretty funny to see if they would let me in. I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. I loved that show.
Yes, Russ is a big Buffy fan. Alrighty, folks. So we are going to move along here.
I even read the comics.
Oh, wow. So yesterday was Rosh Hashanah, a big Jewish holiday. And this year, the Jewish holidays fall from early October through mid-October, with obviously the anniversary of October 7th right in the middle of that calendar. And so this is a really good op-ed by Rabbi Andrew J. Kahn, which was published yesterday in Time magazine. As an American rabbi, Israel's actions don't make me feel any safer. In November of 2023, I was helping to run one of the biggest Reformed Jewish after-school programs in the U.S. Every day, the parents and much of the administration were abuzz with fear of the ongoing pro-Palestine protests that surrounded us in Brooklyn, New York. Would they target us? Did we need to amp up our security? Would they make our community unsafe? Should we even be gathering at the synagogue during protests? Should we cancel religious school to keep the children safe? I decided to go to one of these protests in Bay Ridge, a very outspoken pro-Palestinian neighborhood in Brooklyn. Having heard many rumors about the protests being hostile to Jews, I wanted to see for myself. But when I got there, I was surprised to see elders wearing Stars of David and kids holding signs with other Jewish symbols. I myself was wearing a yarmulke. About halfway through the march, a Palestinian man approached me and said, "Thank you so much for being here. It's always heartwarming to see our Jewish siblings join us." He shared his own experience of exile from Palestine and his family's ongoing troubles. I had come braced to be afraid, but in reality, I immediately, became a part of the community. What I felt was safety. This year, the Jewish high holidays fall from October 2nd to 12th, bracketing the anniversary of October 7th. Today, on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, and for the rest of the holy days, Jews worldwide will reflect on the year that has passed in order to improve in the year to come. As we meditate on this past year, it's important that we look closely at the ways we have reacted with fear instead of understanding and compassion, and assess the accuracy of these perceptions so that we can, in the coming year, improve not only our responses, but work towards healing a very broken world. Since October 7th, 2023, it has become a major talking point in world politics to claim that my safety as an American Jew depends on the might of a country thousands of miles away. Back in September 2023, U.S. President Joe Biden said, "I think without Israel, there's not a Jew in the world who's secure." In March, Rabbi Amiel Hirsch of Stephen Wise Free Synagogue in Manhattan stoked utterly unfounded fears that, in fact, Hamas is not only waging this war in Israel, but plans to spread their violence to America. Quote, if they defeat Israel, they will come for us in Europe and America. This idea that American Jews are unsafe is often justified by conflating the American Jewish community with Israel and blurring the line between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. This trend stems from adopting the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's working definition of anti-Semitism, which includes within it some sweeping references to criticisms of Israel as anti-Semitic, like, quote, denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, e.g. by claiming that the existence of a state of Israel is a racist endeavor, or applying double standards by requiring of it a behavior not expected or demanded of any other democratic nation. That, I mean, you talk about Orwellian language, right? What, like
who decides what other people's standards for how a democratic nation is supposed to behave are?
Right.
There's a pretty wide range of opinions on that.
And of course, what they want is not to avoid a double standard. They want a double standard in their favor. They want special impunity. That's what Ta-Nehisi Coates was sort of talking about there. About we don't define any other state's existence as being born of rights. We define other states' existence as being born of force. The fact that they have established themselves. So that is just an obvious double standard. They're the ones requesting a double standard. They're the ones demanding a double standard be applied to them for their benefit.
It is amazing to me how much after October 7th, because, they kicked me out of Hebrew school when I was 9. My neighborhood was Italian. So other than my family, which wasn't a very politically oriented family, I haven't really spent a lot of time around Jews over the course of my life. And once this came up, it's been pretty amazing to me how frozen in amber all the talking points are. It reminded me of shit they used to say to me when I was in Hebrew school as a child. Like, it's the same stuff. Oh, there's such a double standard around Israel. Like, this is exactly the talking points from the 70s. It hasn't changed at all. It's all completely formulaic.
Exactly. The Anti-Defamation League's recent off-cited report on anti-Semitism is an excellent example of this blurring. However, a thorough examination by media outlet Jewish Currents revealed that the ADL's work shows how the conflation of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism skews the data, ultimately serving as a reminder of the need for serious statistical analysis done by an organization not beholden to Israel advocacy. Rather than accurately assessing American Jewish safety through sensitive analysis, the ADL's report combines a variety of accounts and events, framing political protests against Israel as equally dangerous to actively anti-Semitic attacks, manufacturing a narrative of Jewish persecution, which stokes fear throughout the Jewish community. Conflating criticism of Zionism with anti-Semitism leads to understanding the ongoing violence against the Palestinian people as an unfortunate side effect of protecting global Jewry. Exactly. However, the idea that Israel's war in Gaza and now Lebanon is entirely about Jewish safety is not actually born out of words by Israeli leaders themselves. Rather than proclaim that the primary goal of the offensive on Gaza was to retrieve the hostages, Israeli leaders have been explicit that their goals prioritize vengeance and collective punishment. During a news conference on October 12th, the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, proclaimed, "The entire nation is responsible. This rhetoric of unaware, uninvolved civilians is not true." This was in line with statements made by Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who asserted during his announcement of a total siege on Gaza on October 9th that we are fighting, yes, human animals, we all remember that one, and we are acting accordingly. We will eliminate everything. They will regret it. Last slide. As we come towards a full year of Israel's offensive on Gaza, escalations in the West Bank, the opening of a front in Lebanon, and a direct attack on Israel by Iran with fears of further escalation in the region, I actually feel less secure as an American rabbi than I ever have before. But not because of protesters. Jewish institutional leaders and American politicians fueling fears of anti-Semitism that isolate Jews is what feels dangerous. Yes. The times I have felt safest and most secure in my Jewishness has, to the contrary of the mainstream narrative, been in shared spaces where Jews and non-Jews are working together towards justice, whether during protests against the ongoing attacks on Gaza or in the wakes of George Floyd's murder. As a 2,000-year-old Jewish holy text teaches, beloved is peace, as God announces to Jerusalem, they will only be saved by means of peace. So that's a wonderful op-ed. It's not particularly long. I encourage you to find that and share that when you can, because this is something that, we've been saying for a while, but because we're a couple secular, sarcastic, shit-talking Jew boys ourselves, our words don't carry the same weight as a Jewish rabbi saying this as the Jewish high holidays start.
Yes. It is rather ironic that the holidays fell right on the anniversary like that. And God bless them, man. And this is where it's been a mixed bag with the corporate media. On the one hand, you see like the goons who piled on Ta-Nehisi Coates in that interview. On the other hand, they are allowing more space for these kinds of criticisms of Israel in the corporate media than they ever have before. I think I can say that with confidence, and just having lived in this country my entire life. This kind of thing would never have been published, I don't think, even 10 years ago.
No.
So, and I do think that is partly an outgrowth of, I think there's a generational conflict going on in a lot of these newsrooms. I think a lot of the younger ones who have been reared on social justice and colonization narratives are making demands on the higher ups. I think there's a real struggle going on. We know at the New York Times, they've had these open brawls in the newsroom about how Israel is covered. And it seems like it's really breaking down along generational lines. That's the only explanation I can find for why things like this are finding their way into Time magazine.
Yeah.
There's pressure from the younger ones coming up and the older ones who have always towed the line.
Yeah. No, I think that's right, because I can't imagine an article like this being published in an outlet like this even 3 or 4 years ago, even 2 years ago, even in a pre-October 7th world.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's great to see someone who is whose words carry weight that most of us layman Jews words don't carry, because it's easy to dismiss a couple of sarcastic Jew boy podcasters when we say that, well, it makes us feel less safe. It does make us feel less safe. When we did the whole Tractor Supply Nazi trilogy of segments there, we had it. We got a lot of incoming people just basically slamming us for being Jews. Oh, it makes sense. You would think this because you got triggered. Your Jew boys got triggered. Your Jew, like this is happening as a result.
This is a blind spot for you.
Yeah, it's a blind spot for you, right? All that. This is happening as a result of what's going on. That backlash that we got.
It
to those
is
segments,
mainstreaming anti-Semitism.
Exactly. It takes place in context.
You know what? Little backstage stuff here. So we cut a little bit of my interview with Dave Rubin because I asked him a question in that direction, but I didn't qualify it with "I'm Jewish."
Right.
So it comes off like I'm being a Nazi.
Right.
I asked Dave Rubin, do you think what Israel is doing is reinforcing ideas about Jews controlling the media and politicians?
Right.
But it wasn't really usable because I didn't say as a Jew.
Right. You're right. It wasn't put in the context of, hey, as a Jewish person, don't you think this is perpetuating stereotypes against me? It sounded like you putting him on the spot because he's Jewish.
Listen, man, sometimes I just expect this to be my calling card.
Tell the story. Right.
And I don't feel like I have to explain
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But yes, good point, Charles. So
especially when you're dealing with someone as dumb as Dave Rubin, who wouldn't necessarily pick up on the cues.
Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't use it because I thought it was a good question, and he definitely sweated through his answer.
Yes.
No, as someone in the media, I could tell you that was basically what he said. Jews don't control the media, which wasn't really the question.
That wasn't the question. Yeah. Yeah, but no, he answered it in his very defensive way because he thought you were kind of coming at him.
Right.
Yeah. So always got to remember to qualify that. All right, folks. So this is a separate clip, but I am going to put this on the screen because we just did a segment by a rabbi who wrote an article on the start of the Jewish high holidays here, talking about how he feels less safe as a Jewish man considering what has transpired this past year now. And this was an unconnected piece of video. This wasn't attached to the same thread where I found that article, but I thought this makes for a good companion piece because here is case in point of what this guy is talking about. Here is Rabbi David Feldman, an Orthodox rabbi, being confronted by a Zionist Jew. And look at this. Look at this interaction.
Because of your country, you are because of your state of Israel. Go to Gaza, go! They want you in Gaza. Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go? Why you don't go to Gaza? We are the best people in the world. You are not people. You are Amalek.
Best people in the world.
You are Amalek. The world is outraged against what you're doing. Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go to Gaza? Go to Gaza. Go to Gaza.
I did.
And
go.
We don't want you.
Join
You're
me.
not part of our people. You're not part of our people. You are not part of our people.
You're not
part of the Jewish people.
You are not representing.
Go to
you are
Gaza.
not Jewish.
Go to Gaza.
You are not Jewish. Judaism is not about a race. Judaism is a religion.
Go to Gaza. Go to Gaza.
Don't you support the killing of everyone?
We support living. We support life. You are not. You are Amalek. You are Amalek.
Everyone is suffering.
Amalek.
Everyone is suffering. Palestinians, Lebanese, Jews. Everybody is suffering because of your wicked state of Israel.
Right. Now, we've shown a lot of these types of confrontations, and I will show this again because it's short. But, this one kind of demonstrates as well, if not better, than any of them, just so many points. First of all, just how hateful an ideology Zionism actually is. I mean, these people are so incredibly miserable and angry and hateful. And by these people, I do not mean Jewish people. Look, this is a guy getting in the face of an Orthodox Jew, calling him Amalek, using biblical language to describe those less than human, shall we say, to describe a man of deep Jewish faith. And so when we say these people are hateful, we're not talking about a race or a religion. We're talking about an ideological group. This is just an ideology of such incredible hatred that you could get in this guy's face and call him Amalek. You're not one of us. Well, there you go. I'm really glad he said that. You're not one of us, because that's a word that take that to heart, folks. Take that. When an Israeli tells a Jew, you're not one of us, that I love hearing that. I love hearing that because that actually makes the distinction obvious. So there you have it, right from the mouth of this fucking asshole. You're not one of us. You're Amalek. Saying that to a rabbi with a Palestinian flag on him. This guy comes up and confronts him. These guys are out there. They obviously are protesting behind the little guardrails there with their signs. They don't go around starting fights. This guy obviously came up to this guy and pointed his finger in his face and says, you're not one of us. You're Amalek. And the final point, just to demonstrate their hatred, because there's a lot in this 1 minute of video. Go to Gaza. Go to Gaza. They always say this. Go to Gaza. Well, that gives away the game. That gives away the game, does it not? What that shows you is that they have absolutely not only no concern for the people of Gaza, they have hatred for Gaza and the people. That's their answer. Well, go there if you love them so much. Meaning it is the most obvious thing in the world that these committed Zionists care nothing about the civilians in Gaza. If they have any care in the world, it's hatred It's hatred, the incredible hatred of these people. What a miserable way to go through life as one of these people. Think of what a miserable existence that is. To walk around with such hatred in your heart every minute of every day.
Yeah, I told you for October 7th, I'm going to put together a cut of the October 8th protest I covered last year, an extended cut of it. And they were saying that then.
Yeah.
Go to Gaza.
Go to Gaza.
They were saying the day after.
Yep.
They were saying to go there. No, these people in their minds are beset on all sides by anti-Semites, and the Arabs are the successors of the Nazis. And at that point, what's not justified? This is the warfare 101, dehumanize the enemy. And that's even in a war that is not genocidal by definition. To do what they have done to these people, the level of brutality and cruelty, you have to think like a Nazi. These people are just beyond, they have forfeited their right to live because they're so foul. They're so inhuman. They're such a fundamental threat to everything decent. And at that point, what's not justified? You know, I've talked to some Zionists about these guys. They really don't know how to handle them. They really don't know how to address them. All they can do is write them off as crazy or self-hating. And you know, it really doesn't fit. How self-hating can you be if you're going to walk around with the hat and the payas? That doesn't seem very very much like the person is trying to deny or reject their Judaism. They're embracing it quite a bit more than yourself. They really don't know how to handle these guys. It's a total contradiction of their whole worldview.
Well, that's why they have such hatred for them. That's why this guy is obviously going about his day, and he feels compelled to come and get up in the face of a rabbi with a Palestinian flag wrapped around his neck. I'll play this one more time.
Because of your state
traitor.
of Israel.
Go to Gaza, go! They want you in Gaza. Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go? Why you don't go to Gaza? We are the best people in the world. You are not people. You are Amalek.
War criminals.
You are Amalek.
The world is
You are
outraged
Amalek.
against what you're doing.
Why you don't go to Gaza? Why you don't go to Gaza?
Visit Gaza.
Go to Gaza. Go to Gaza.
I did.
He says, I did.
Go. We don't want you.
You can join
You're
me.
not part of our people. You're not part of our people. You are not part of our people.
You are not
part of the Jewish people.
You are not represented.
Go to
you are
Gaza.
not Jewish.
Go to Gaza.
You are not Jewish. Judaism is not about a race. Judaism is a religion.
Go to Gaza. Go to Gaza.
Don't you support the killing of everyone?
We support living. We support life. You are not. You are Amalek. You are Amalek.
Everyone is suffering.
Amalek.
Everyone is suffering. Palestinians, Lebanese, Jews. Everybody is suffering because of your wicked state of Israel.
And, you know, look, good for these guys for being out there.
Eat, but Jew eat?
Yeah, right, exactly. And good for these guys for being out there, too, because as we covered in the last segment, the rabbi who was hesitant.
Where is this?
That's New York.
I mean, it's in Manhattan, but yeah.
East side, East 47th. It looks like Lexington and 47th Street, if I had to guess. But
did they pick that spot for a reason? Is there a reason?
I mean, it's near the UN. Netanyahu spoke at the UN last week, so East Side near the UN. I mean, maybe that's not Lexington, maybe it's 2nd Avenue something, but there's a street sign there in the background that says East 47th, and the UN is on the East Side in the 40s. It could very well be an anti-Netanyahu protest. Yeah. But yeah, no, the fact that these rabbis are out there, I mean, good on them for being out there, because as the rabbi wrote in the article that we covered in the last segment, you know, part of what made him feel safe, because he was a little iffy on whether or not he wanted to go, what the scene was going to be like. And then he was surprised to see a lot of Jews at the protests and see how well received the Jews at the protests were. So, yeah, great on them for being out there. And yeah, I mean, that video just says it all.
Yep.
Hello, chaps. Just joined your Patreon, but I wanted to take this opportunity to compliment your production quality. Sound script, Peach, your theater background is serving you well to my ears anyway. Well, thank you. Speech, not peach. But thank you very much. I meant speech, not peach. There you go. Got it. Thank you, Astro Cat. Appreciate that very much. Thank you for your support.
We have been called the avatar of podcasts for our production values.
That's right. Big John 32904 voting third party, but Dems losing will bring me more joy. There you go. Eric Rousseau spreading missing information.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, this election for me, I'm not voting for either candidate. Who I root for on election night is really going to depend on who texts me last. Like, I get certain texts from Trump supporting friends. I'm like, God damn, it would be great to see you melt down when he loses. And then I get texts from my lib friends. Oh man, it would be great to see you melt down.
Yeah, I just saw this whole exchange on Facebook of libs defending Tim Walz on the First Amendment, and when I see things like that, I'm like, damn, I want Trump to win.
Yeah, exactly.
But then when I see these chuds, well, she should keep her legs closed, then she won't need an abortion. And then I'm like, oh man, I want to see these people melt down on election night.
Exactly. It really depends for me on, who the last person to text me is. When I get a cringe text from a Trump person, I want to see them melt down. When I get a cringe text from a lib, I want to see them melt down. So the lesson is to all of my friends, if you really want me to support your candidate, the best thing you could do is leave me the fuck alone. Don't bother me.
Up. Yeah.
Keep your fucking mouth shut, because whenever you get in touch with me, you make me root for the other side. So the best thing you could do for your candidate, the best surrogacy you can provide for your preferred candidate is to not bother me. Not bother me.
Once I go home, I'm going to process, because obviously you come to D.C. and you go through all these museums. Like, I went through the National Portrait Gallery where they have all the portraits of the presidents and summations of their terms and all of that. And it really does make you think about previous conflicts and debates we've had in American history. And I'm really going to have to process and say, is this just one of those particularly contentious times, or is it really a degradation of the national conversation the way it seems? It seems like the whole conversation is just taking place on a dumber level than it ever has before. It's not that we've never been this at odds. We've had a civil war, for God's sakes.
Right.
But was it ever this stupid? It just doesn't seem like the conversation was ever such an idiocracy-like debate between morons. It's just, I don't know that it's ever been such a confederacy of dunces as it is now.
Yeah, no, it's really, that's what this election really has turned into. It really is. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is really just
that's the difference. Not necessarily the contentiousness. We've had that in the country many times before. Rival camps with very different visions of how to go forward. Almost by definition, the country has had that throughout its history. But just the stupidity of this. The Lincoln Douglas debates the Saints.
Right. And even
so stupid.
Even relative to the first Trump election, where it was Hillary versus Trump, that was a debate of sorts. I didn't like either candidate. I didn't vote for either candidate. But that was a debate between sort of nationalism and globalism, neoliberalism versus protectionism of a certain kind. Like, those were competing philosophies. Not that the discourse was really high-minded at the time, but it was about something. Now it's about nothing. Now it's, Tim Walz puts tampons in the bathroom. Trump's convicted 34 times of charges that really should have never been brought. Like, it's so dumb. Like, both camps are just so petty and substance-free and stupid. It's so stupid. It's about nothing. It's about nothing.
Right. Yeah. Like, you go through the National Portrait Gallery. They have a little summation of each president. And, we forget how many of these presidents have been forgettable.
Right.
Who the fuck talks about Benjamin Harrison who talks
Right.
about James Polk, even though actually Polk's term was pretty consequential. We only talk about a few presidents in American history. Grover Cleveland, like, tell me what he did. Like, nobody talks about really most of the presidents, particularly in the 19th century. But if you look at the summation of what they did and what their principles were and what they cared about and what they advocated, any one of them would seem like a poet warrior in the classic sense compared to this crew.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. 100%.
Like the worst of them was a shining exemplar of civic duty and engagement compared to these people.
Exactly. Agreed. All right, folks, we're going to move on to Jose Vega in just a second. But first, it is the morning show. What does everybody drink in the morning? Coffee. And so we're going to tell you a little bit about 1775 coffee. That's right.
Oh, look what I got. A little souvenir.
There you go.
This is a mug of all campaign slogans.
Oh, nice. Excellent. That's Russell in Washington, D.C. with his campaign mug. All right, I'm doing the ad read now, so I got to get to it. I don't want to get too long. So have you heard of the recent advertising scandal? Let me break it down. The CEO of Rumble, Chris Pavlovsky, recently released an email from Inspire Brands and Dunkin' Donuts. The email explicitly states that the right-wing culture of Rumble is too polarizing. So in other words, Dunkin' Donuts has a problem with the culture of Rumble and wants nothing to do with it. So here is the solution. Stop buying products that don't support free speech and start supporting brands that do. The competing brand we should all get behind is Rumble's 1775 coffee. For a limited time, Rumble is offering buy 2 bags of coffee and get 1 for free. So go to 1775coffee.com and enter promo code Duncan to get this limited time deal. Comes endorsed by our friend Landrew, by the way. Gave us a very generous super chat last show with a glowing review of 1775 coffee. So go to 1775coffee.com. You get buy 2 bags, get 1 free. They're 16-ounce bags, so you get more bang for your buck. There's more coffee in the bag than the bags you get at the grocery store. 1775coffee.com and use promo code Duncan. All right. Yeah, Landry really was impressed by that coffee.
Another one in the can.
He sent us,
Yeah.
He
So yeah.
I hope they're sending me some in my care package. I'm supposed to get a care package any day.
I mean, I drink a big ass, look at this. That is a big ass mug of coffee. I drink about that much every morning. I drink like a tankard of coffee in the morning.
Yeah, this coffee I'm drinking right now is horrible. It's called Harmony Bay. It's from Andover, Massachusetts. It was, it looked like, it had the cute packaging of like a nice craft coffee, and it was by far the cheapest of any of those options at the store. So I figured out.
Yeah, you don't mess with cheap coffee, man. You just don't
disgusting.
do it.
You
just don't
really
do
terrible.
it.
This is
that
not
never works out.
Just so everybody, in case the Rumble guys are still watching, I'm talking about a competing coffee brand, which I bought at the grocery store the other day.
And that's why you should buy 1775 brand coffee.
It's terrible. It's like almost rancid. It's horrible.
No,
but I bought 2 pounds of it. So what am I going to do? Not drink it?
Yeah. That was like who recommended that coffee to me that was fucking awful, and I kept breaking his balls.
I don't know.
Remember when we were trying to find the Starbucks substitute? I can't remember which coffee that was. It was fucking gross. Listen. There are not a lot of things. Especially now that I gave up smoking, I really don't have vices. I don't consider morning coffee a vice, really, either. But it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Right.
It's something I don't need, but I like. Yo, man, this place came with a big thing of Folgers. I ain't drinking that shit, man. I went and got some Pete's.
Oh, yeah, pizza's good. Pizza's on sale. Maybe I should get Pete's.
Pizza's good. Yeah.
All right, I'll look at that. I'll look into that. You guys should use the chorus from Doom and Gloom by the Stones as Keaton's official nihilism drop. We should actually. That's a good song, and good catch on that, because Doom and Gloom is one of their newer songs. That was like a single they recorded to release, one of the like greatest hits things, and that actually is a good tune. That's probably their best. That's probably their best post-2000 song. That's probably their best song of like the recent catalog. But yeah, I do dig that song. I like that.
I don't even know. When did they drop that?
It's probably like 6 or 7 years ago. It was actually a good tune. Yeah, maybe
it's
10.
Listenable?
It's good. It's actually more than listenable. It's actually a good song. I actually do dig that one. Yeah. Excuse me.
Don't let my skepticism. I like basically for 30 years, at best, the Stones do stuff that sounds like it might have been a B-side of their glory era.
What? Oops. There he goes. Lost again. I've been watching for. Where is Russell? Is he going to come back? Did that Wi-Fi finally zap him? Dubs 20. I've been watching for a year. Sad to hear DD lump all Trump voters as horrible, etc. Trump's the better choice. Thanks to the DNC. Sorry, I'll read that again. I've been watching for a year. Sad to hear DD lump all Trump voters as horrible, etc. Trump's the better choice. Thanks to the DNC. I didn't say all Trump voters are horrible, and I said the metaphor I've always used is that Kamala is a gun with 5 chambers. I mean, all 6 chambers loaded if you're going to play Russian roulette, and Trump is the gun with 5 out of the 6. So I understand as a voter seeing it that way, totally. But there's a difference between seeing it that way and doing a full-throated defense of Donald Trump or advocating for Donald Trump as a viable solution to the mess we find ourselves in. So that's what I would say to that.
I don't know what's going on. It's been a little flaky this morning.
Yeah, it is. It has been flaky. The tech has been flaky, right? Miserable Lib watched a great interview with Norm Finkelstein and Muin Rabbani, yes, on India and Global Left. Good historical insight into the Israeli-led conflicts going back to the 67 war and how it relates to today. Thank you. Yes, well, they were debate partners in the Destiny debate, and then I forget who the other guy was. But yes, they're both very good.
It was Benny Morris, right?
Benny Morris, that's right. Yep. Russ, The Who is a Mongolian metal band who will be opening for Iron Maiden. Oh, well, Russ is Mongolian.
I'll be hearing them. I am Mongolian.
Russ is part Mongolian. So I guess they'll, I'm assuming they're touring with them on all the stops. So then Russ will have to get there early for the Mongolian metal band. That'll be good.
And I'm just going to say, both me and my father grew up in Flushing with no exposure to horses, and we both wound up working with horses. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, there you go. That's the Mongolian
in the blood.
That's in the blood. A good fear-mongering sound drop, Maiden's Run to the Hill. Thank you. Yeah, that would be good too. I kind of like the doom and gloom though, because it's a little more obscure. Bend the Knee speech was quite memorable, but actual history was made last Saturday. Rachel Zegler's first snob. What is that? Snob? You mean snub? Yo, Rachel Zegler is in Romeo and Juliet now on Broadway.
Yeah, on Broadway? Yeah.
Yeah. It's at Circle in the Square. You should try and get an interview with her outside the stage door. Seriously, that shit could do well.
Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
That would be pretty interesting.
Because you can ask her about Snow White and Israel-Palestine.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I would do. Like, are you getting canceled by Hollywood? Because she's been fired from projects. They're claiming it's not that, it's scheduling, but she got pulled off. She was supposed to be in Paddington 3, and they claimed it was because of the actor strike, but then there are other people they didn't get rid of who are also SAG actors, so it looks like they got rid of her without saying they got rid of her. And she's getting offered nothing now. Like, she's so toxic.
She's going to have to do theater.
She's going to have to do theater. It actually would be interesting to ask her if she feels Hollywood is discriminating against her because of her Palestine views or because Snow White became so controversial.
Yeah. I mean, it could be doable.
No, actually, you're not wrong. Like, yeah, if I went to the stage door, I could probably catch her.
You'd probably want to do it on the way in, because when on the way out, she'll be signing autographs and taking pictures. It'll be hard. But sometimes, they enter the stage door on the way in, too, like an hour and a half prior to the show. It might be something worth doing.
You think she moves around without bodyguards?
That I don't know. That I'm not sure.
Because sometimes you try to interview them, if they got those people, they're just going to
they'll just push you away. Yeah, maybe the stage door. All right, it's worth a shot. All right, folks. Well, one guy who does not consider these things is Jose Vega, and we are going to be doing a segment on Jose right now. So, folks, our friend, candidate for office in New York's 15th district, Jose Vega, had a run-in with the great Paul Krugman. He tweets out, I confronted the Nobel laureate, Paul Krugman, net worth $5 million, along with a panel of fellow New York Times mouthpieces, as they blathered about how the perspective concerning the election could be so different from the numbers he and his quackademic economist associates put forward to drive the big lie that inflation is down and the economy is strong. I like the use of capital letters and quote marks and quackademic. You know, if the election doesn't work out, Jose, and Trump wins, you could write his
speeches.
Well, especially his Truth Social tweets, because he's got the language pattern down. With the quotes and the capital letters. Yeah. So that's just something to keep in mind. Meanwhile, people in the South Bronx, where I'm an independent candidate for federal office and all across the United States, suffer from a financial collapse brought about by the Harris-Cheney xenophobic and suicidal foreign policy, as our livelihoods are bled for an open society project in Ukraine and the Eretz Israel of the Zionists. Okay, so here is this video. This is pretty raucous stuff.
Uh-oh, Nobel Prize-winning economist here to tell us how great the economy is. I certainly wonder how the residents of Asheville, North Carolina must be feeling right now with no access to power or water or communication with the outside world. I wonder how enthusiastic they are about the economy right now. I wonder how enthusiastic the residents of the South Bronx must be feeling about the economy. Hey, maybe North Carolina should rename itself Israel so it'll get $20 billion in aid. Or maybe Ukraine so it can get $300 billion in aid. Maybe the South Bronx should do the same thing. I mean, I'm sure the economy is great for smug liberals like yourself who make $5 million and are worth $5 million. I'm sure the economy must be great for all you smug journalists, economists. All of you must be having a great time with the economy when most people can't even pay for basic necessities, for people who are getting evicted because they can't pay their rent. Because over in the South Bronx, just a few miles away from here, there are portions of buildings that are literally collapsing. And I'm supposed to give a shit about the stock market? You want to know why the presidential election is tied right now? Because our money is being sent to Israel and Ukraine so that they can continue to bomb innocent women and children. You think that's a great economy? I'm sure Israel, with their free healthcare, is having a great time with American taxpayer money. Hey, is anyone here going to talk about the fact that we could be in war with Iran in a few days? Or do we need to focus on the S&P 500? Is that what actually matters? Huh? The S&P 500? When most people may not even be alive here in a few days just because we're on the verge of nuclear war? Hey, listen to me, Mr. Krugman. Your degree is worthless. You might as well use it as paperweight because it means nothing. I hope you enjoy the dead children that the economy is powering. Our economy is definitely very powerful right now. All that stock market money goes to the military complex so that more innocent women and children are dead. And fuck off with the New York Times, the liberal apologists for war and genocide. You all fucking suck. People need to wake up right now, and we need to have peace. We can work with China. We can work with Russia. We don't need to start war with Iran. All right, I'm good. We're good.
I love that. As soon as they get out, he's like, and scene. All right, cut. Fellas, good job. All right, let's take that from the top. Let's go do that one more time. I feel like he'd use one more take of that. Yeah, I love how immediately after getting out, tells the cops, all right, I'm good. And the cop was actually, because we saw the extended cut, he put out another tweet with another cut. The cop was actually very nice. The cop was like, be safe, all right? You know, like the cop was not an asshole. The cop, I mean, he had to take him out of there, obviously. But the cop was actually very cool. And actually, you know, like had some not supportive words of what he did, but he wasn't like, get the fuck out of here, kid. He's like, be safe out there.
Not all heroes wear capes.
That's right. But, you know, I mean, he was well prepared for that one because it took them a long time to come and get him. So he had like a whole speech prepared. Like, well, you know, when I do this, I assume that people are going to, with the couple, when I do this, like regularly, I've done it like 3 times. I assume they're going to, escort me out within 10 seconds. And I've been right when that's happened because, I've been dragged out, very, very quickly. But yeah, I mean, look, these images out of the Southeast now of communities underwater set against the billions of dollars that we have shipped overseas to destroy other countries. I mean, this is why I say, folks, and here, I'll put it I will be very careful in my words this time. This is why the demise of the American empire is to be celebrated, not to be mourned. I am not advocating for the demise of American society or the suffering of American people. I want the American people hold on, let me finish this because I want the American people to prosper and live in peace. I want the American empire to be destroyed as it currently functions because this is an example of empire. What Jose was talking about there is an example of the just insidious nature of this empire, that we have a whole band of our country right now underwater with hundreds of people missing, probably tragically dead at this point. And we are sending billions of dollars to start World War III on two fronts with a genocide thrown in for good measure. So this is why, as an entity, as an imperial entity, I welcome the demise of the United States. I do not root for the demise of the United States as a place with people living in it. I want peace within these borders. I want my fellow citizens to have good lives. But this thing of ours, put in mob speak, it's coming to an end, and it has to. It has to. This is no longer intrinsically good for America or the world. And that's fucking obvious. And I will not back down from that point no matter what.
Well, just make it that way.
Well, I did.
Make the point that way. That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Now you've gone from nihilist to humanitarian.
Yeah.
See how easy it is?
Yeah.
Originally, Gandhi started out saying, fuck India. But then he learned.
Right, yeah.
He learned
exactly.
that message was being misinterpreted. Jose, God bless him, man. That was a pretty long speech he laid on them there. And Krugman really apparently has never heard of the Streisand effect because he blew this up. Like, it was getting a little traction.
Yeah.
Until he did this.
It
wasn't one of his more visible actions because Paul Krugman's more obscure than AOC or something.
Yeah, it had about 50,000 views overnight, but then Krugman wakes up and decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this a little boost here. So he tweets out last night at a CUNY event about perceptions of the economy. We had a guy yelling about Biden refusing to help Helene victims who had to be escorted out. So Trump's lies have gone viral. So that got 285,000 views in and of itself. So Jose quote tweets that. Yeah, that was me, you twat. Enjoy the video in full, you quackademic. That got 233,000 views as of last night. It was up around 500,000 at the start of today's show, and I would imagine it is coming up to about 1 million now. It got the retweet. Oh, yeah, so it got a retweet from Jack Posobiec, who was one of the Rescue the Republic speakers there. So Jack's retweet got 600,000 views alone. And so Jose's original post is now up to 620,000 views. Okay, so now, because Krugman decided he would pick this fight the morning after, now it's got well over 1 million views. So it went from 40,000, 50,000 to over 1 million. Yeah.
He just couldn't resist the virtue signal.
Right.
He had to do it. He had to do it.
Yep. Well, you know what? Because probably, I mean, I think the reason he did that,
and it's deceptive. That's not what Jose said. Jose did not scream that Biden refused to help Helene victims. What he's screaming is the resources being dedicated to that are not nearly adequate, and yet we are very quick to send hundreds of millions of dollars
Right.
to foreign nations that we should not be funding.
Exactly. Exactly. And, I think the reason he did this is because he probably, definitely didn't know who Jose was. He didn't know that he has a following on social media, and he's earned that following by doing stuff like this. And so Krugman probably just thought, oh, that was some kid making a ruckus, and I'll just tell a nice story about that as a virtue signal to my lib followers. Not realizing, no, that guy actually has quite the presence on the X platform, and it was only a matter of time before he saw that and quote tweeted that, and now, what started out as a 50,000 view intervention is now officially viral, well over 1 million views at this point. Yeah. So nicely done,
Paul.
Nice going, Paul, and nice going, Jose. It is about a month to Election Day. It's October 3rd. Election Day is November 5th, and so this Saturday night, we are going to be doing a screening of our film, Ruckus, The Making of a Revolutionary, which is a documentary that we made about Jose Vega. We shot it last April, and we premiered it for the first time this past February. But we're going to be doing a premiere stream of that because it's not actually in our YouTube video library. It's only in our live stream library. We definitely want it for the video library. So we're going to do a premiere of that film on Saturday night. That'll be Saturday night at 8 p.m., along with a special message from Jose. It's 1 month until the vote, so we're going to give Jose a chance to make a little pre-recorded speech, which we'll play in front of the film, and then we will show the film. So if you haven't seen the film yet, you'll get a chance to watch that on YouTube and Rumble. 31 days till Election Day, 1 month out, we will be showing that film with a speech from Jose Vega as well. So mark your calendars. Saturday night, we'll see you all on YouTube and Rumble for the premiere. That's not a live stream. That is a premiere video of that film with Jose's speech. So that is our next sort of event, so to speak, here on the channel. Okay, let's go to Ellen Jimerson. Keaton, Rumble chat has worked it out. You need vitamin C, a neti pot, long naps, possibly an antibiotic. I'm on an antibiotic, actually. And homemade chicken soup with onion or garlic and lemon. We got your back. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that. And I do intend to finally rest after this show. I have not had a chance. Part of why I've been sick is I have not had a chance to rest. And not only have we had no days off, I've been up till like 1 or 2 in the morning every night for the past like 5 or 6 nights, just prepping everything we've had to prep, whether it's editing, video presentations, getting the clips ready, doing show prep. I mean, I have not had a chance to recoup, and so I will be taking that opportunity. Look, I got my nice hoodie on. I'm going to make a pot of tea. I'm going to sit on the couch. I'm going to watch some baseball. We're going to watch the Mets and the Brewers today. Rubber game of are they playing today or are they playing tomorrow? Because the Mets blew it last night. They lost. And so now there's a forced game 3. I actually got a TV package turned on yesterday just so I could watch the baseball postseason because I don't have TV. I don't want to pay for TV anymore. But for baseball, it's like, all right, one-time fee, we'll do it. Yeah, it is. Tonight at 7 o'clock.
You have some streaming services, though, right?
I have I have like Netflix and shit like that.
Yeah.
The time I had yesterday trying to get this TV streaming package hooked up, I was on the phone with Spectrum for a combined like 2 hours. It is unbelievable. That you talk about psyops. The whole society is a giant psyop. You're trying to get TV to play. You're trying to sign up for TV. No, there's no normal TV. The normal TV package is like $120 a month. I'm not paying that. So I wanted the select bundle, which you don't get through the cable box. They send you a special box that connects to your Wi-Fi that you have to customize. It took hours to set this up. Hours to set this up.
Yeah, but you know, like there are services like Roku where you could get like a TV package through a streaming service.
That's kind of what I did here, except I went through the cable company. That was my error. I shouldn't have gone through the cable company.
You don't have to.
Yeah. Now I should just circumvent them entirely. Yeah.
I mean, for regular TV, although you don't get it streaming, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not like on my TV like that.
Exactly.
I have Hulu, but I think I'm going to cancel Hulu, man, because they're about to increase the price to like $18 a month.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
that
crazy.
shit.
Fuck that shit.
Fuck
Yeah.
that, man. Yeah, when I get home, I'm gonna cancel it.
American Disaster says hit like button. Hit like support button, guys. Thank you, American Disaster. Yes, folks, please do hit that like button. Appreciate you being here. Angry Bird, thanks for the £5. Keaton and Russ, not a criticism of your demeanor. I will have lost my rag more than Keaton. Love from Scotland, who you visit soon. Glasgow. Thank you, Angry Bird. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
No, I know where you're coming from with that. Thank you. Sparky, thanks for the $5. The meltdowns when Trump won in 2016 were epic. They are pretty difficult to match. Oh yeah, no, nothing will ever beat that.
That was yeah.
One of my biggest regrets.
I want to get images of that as wallpaper.
Exactly. One of my biggest regrets in life is not taking my friend's invitation to go to a bar. There was a bar in like the NYU area that he was at while the election results were coming in. And I was so glued to the TV, I didn't want to leave the TV. I was afraid I would miss a big moment. So I'm like, no, I don't, because it's going to take me like 40 minutes to get there. And I want to stay glued to my TV. But I wish I had gone out that night. That would have been loads of fun. That would have been so beautiful. Especially sitting in a bar in the NYU area surrounded by all those libs.
Okay, you know where I wish I had gone, and I knew somebody who did? There is an intersection in Brooklyn of President and Clinton. And libs gathered on that corner to celebrate her victory.
Yep.
That is what I wish I had done that night.
That would have been crazy. Yeah, that would have been fun too. My brother at the time was a student, and they were watching the election results in like a big auditorium. You know, they had like the screen, big screen TV in the auditorium, and everybody in that room was just stunned silent, so incredibly depressed. And there's this one kid at the whole school that he knew who was a MAGA kid, who had his MAGA hat on and shit like that. And as the results are coming in, the MAGA kid leaves because it's just silent. There's nobody. Everybody's totally speechless. And about a half hour later, the MAGA kid comes back into this room of stunned, silent, shit-lib students with a bottle of champagne, and in a dead silent room, pops the cork as loud as he can and starts chugging the bottle. That's pretty badass. That kid was great. Nothing will top that.
I was in a class that night. I was in a screenwriting class, and I saw that, I think it was Florida. They were talking about how the Florida rural counties were tipping Florida to Trump. And I said to the people in class, which of course there's a screenwriting class in New York City, everyone's a lib. I said, he's going to win. His theory that infrequent and non-voters were going to come out, if you look at these county by county results, he was right.
Was going to work.
He was right. And if that's the case, he's going to win.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, nothing will top that night, though. You're all right, Sparky. Nothing will top that night.
Yeah. No.
No.
We can't get that magic back again.
No. That was one night only. Tom, thanks for the $4.99. Guys, F all that. Roast your own green coffee at home, and it's way cheaper, too.
Green coffee.
Green coffee. All right. Worskill, thanks for the $2. Vega is God. Keep up the great work, gents. Thank you, Worskill. Appreciate that. Sparky, thanks for the $10. Says, my ancestors were horse thieves who expanded into highway robbery, and my brothers and I got into horses before we knew that. Of course, down south, we had more exposure to horses than in Flushing.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's pretty unlikely for two guys from the same bloodline, but, like I wasn't raised by him, to independently go and get involved in horses and show, like, unusual aptitude for it with no background in doing it. I was always pretty good at reading a horse. I had what they call good hands. Like, I was pretty good. And so was he. He's like, he still trains racehorses.
Awesome. Raphius, thanks for the $2. Chat doesn't allow some words. Censorship? Yeah, that's YouTube. That's not us. So good luck. You can always come to Rumble and try chatting as well. Dan Kelly, thanks for your work. Live in Wisconsin. Bomble a campaign with Liz Cheney about 45 minutes away. My choice is vote Jill or leave the top line blank. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. Andres Torres, thanks to the $4.99, says, if the economy is so great, why am I living in a van down by the river? Thank you, Andres. Appreciate that. All righty, folks. Let's move right along here. Russell, it's at 11:07. So if you want, you can duck. If you have an appointment, you can duck out after this segment, and I could just take the rest of the super chats myself.
Well, what do we got? What do we got left?
You got the abortion segment. We got to do the abortion segment.
Is that it?
Well, we have one more that we were supposed to do, which is the Emmy Award segment. But I think we've done a lot of that type of story today, so I want to do this one.
All right. So what? We're going to hold that?
Yeah, we can hold that. Yeah.
All right. So I have time for one more. Yeah, we'll be done by like 11:30, right?
Yeah, we'll be done by 11:30. Yeah, should be done.
That's
all righty. Cool. All right, folks. Where is this story? Okay, so there was a lot of talk after the vice presidential debate about the Minnesota abortion law that J.D. Vance tried to pin Tim Walz down on, where you obviously had J.D. Vance make the charge that Minnesota allows for children, babies, to be killed outside the womb after they are delivered and are born alive. And Tim Walz said that's not true, but didn't really offer much specific. So this came up in a very heated conversation after the debate on CNN.
Credit for solicitude. Look, the policies, maybe not.
I just had this thing in Minnesota. There were 8 deaths among infants who survived abortion attempts during Tim Walz's tenure as governor. It happened. They don't want to talk about the fact that it happened, but there were children.
What's the source?
First of all, let me ask you a question. Since you've deeply researched this, what were the condition of these?
Yes.
Of these babies when they were born?
Why can't
what was the participation of the family?
They tried to abort the babies, and they survived the abortion, and then they died.
And you think that families casually tossed them aside?
No, I think.
Tell me what their condition was.
Tim Walz
could they have
tossed the
survived?
truth
And
about it aside.
was it a case of families not wanting children to suffer when they were told that they are doomed?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that,
and that is the reality
so
of the case.
that
but
seems
you know
important
what?
to me.
Here's what I will say. Keep talking about that, because when you all talk about abortion like this, it is when women and that gender gap continues to divide, not in your favor. Because women, it is disrespectful to pretend like women are making choices about abortion that is the intent to just let a baby die at 9 months. Let me finish it here. And it is dishonest for J.D. Vance to go up there and try and push that narrative. And that is what I'm saying when I said he presented well, but his policies and what he was saying was not truthful. It just wasn't. And that is why the overwhelming American people, since Roe has been overturned, you guys are not winning. You are not winning. And if you run on this issue, you will not win in November.
They're not running on this issue.
They're lying on this issue.
They're running on, it's up to the states, and they're running on Donald Trump's moderate position of some reasonable restrictions, rape, incest, and life of the mother, IVF.
Okay, so they're trying not to run on the issue, but the Democrats are kind of forcing them into these very awkward spots. And what that woman said there is absolutely true. The more the Republicans talk this shit, the more that gender gap widens. And the reason why this issue is as powerful as it is because it drives a wedge right through the very constituency that decides who wins and loses most races. A very reliable voting bloc of PMC, affluent, suburban women who could go either way, right? And that's why this is such a killer issue for Republicans, because the way they talk about this and the laws they have passed around this in states where they have been empowered to do so, which include the not so deep red states anymore of Georgia and North Carolina, there is a major backlash amongst the very group of voters that neither party can really afford to turn off. That's why, despite Kamala's tanking numbers with black voters, Latino voters, Arab voters, union voters, that's why they're in the game, because issues like this keep Democrats afloat, because they drive turnout in the suburbs. And not only do they drive turnout in the suburbs, they shrink Republican margins in the rural areas. Those rural areas, which used to come in 75-25 for The GOP, they're coming in 60-30 for the GOP, which is allowing Democrats to make up those deficits in the cities.
Right.
And so that's why this is such a powerful thing, because what she says there is absolutely true about how this plays to the average voter. When the average voter hears Tim Walz tell stories about how, women could not get care because they were having a miscarriage and the doctor wouldn't treat the woman because the doctor didn't know what the legality of that treatment was going to be. If it was determined that that baby was viable and the doctor didn't do everything they could to save it, but rather treated the patient with the health of the mother first in mind, what, now they're going to be criminally liable? Like, this creates so many problems for people in such personal ways. And the way that the Republicans talk about this and legislate around this, it alienates the very constituency that neither party can afford to alienate.
Yeah, this is deadly for them. Unlike, and we've already seen this in previous elections, and it's another reason why we were talking in a previous segment. Why are the Democrats even running with all of the people that the Republicans are picking off, with their unusual support among Black voters, with their unusual support among Latinos? The conventional wisdom has always been that Democrats can't win if they just peel off a few percentage points of Black voters. So why are they running even? Because of things like this. Because the normie voters are not going to vote Republican. There is such an overwhelming number of typical voters, and those people vote. Those normies vote. They do not miss a presidential election.
Right.
They have outsized influence on outcomes of elections. They are running into the Democratic Party, even if they may be conservative, because of shit like this. You're not just talking abortion. Very much like, I believe, part of what has stimulated the insane gender stuff on the other side is, well, once they passed gay marriage, they needed a new thing. A lot of these organizations make their living ginning up outrage and making claims about discrimination. So they had to push into areas that people would still find offensive even after they've liberalized around these issues generally. They had to go more to the margins. That's what's happening on the other side. That's why you got a VP candidate talking about banning IVF. Because once Dobbs came down, they had to push to another extreme. And it's put them in a position where they are completely repulsive to any kind of normal person in the country. Most people, even Republicans, do not, but forget about the IVF, they don't agree with their abortion position.
Right.
And now it's hung around their neck. Before, people who just wanted their tax cuts could write it off because you had Roe. Let them talk.
Right.
Now that it's not a matter of that, does anybody believe that Trump's not just going to give them whatever they want? He just came out. He's trying to manage the perception now. He said he would veto an anti-abortion bill that came to his desk. Does anyone believe that? I don't personally believe that. I don't think he gives a shit. I don't think he's actually pro-life. I think he's pro whoever's around him. And the people around him are going to tell him not to do that. And I don't think he'll do it. Like, there is a real chance if they had... Look, I don't think they'll have the Senate and Congress. But if they did, would they go for an abortion ban? Probably.
Well, what I would say is, yes, I mean, I would second that, but I would also say that there is another element to this, which is just the emotional backlash that this generates against the Republican Party when Republicans, especially Republican men, talk about an issue, especially an issue like this, where you're talking about born alive babies being killed, because the image that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are trying to create in the minds of voters is that an open-legged whore goes, into the hospital and they realize, okay, I don't want this baby 7 months in. And so they get it sucked out of them, and it's alive when it's sucked out of them, and then they kill it. And the woman goes on about her day. That is the image that they want to create in the mind of the average voter. It's demonizing not only the doctors who perform the services, but the women themselves. When the reality of these very, very rare cases is actually tragic. It's actually a tragic situation that women find themselves in where this even becomes an issue. Right. And so, case in point, an article came out. Minnesota's new abortion law was the center of the VP debate. So what does it say? So what is the truth of this? Because one thing I will say is that Tim Walz botched this. Tim Walz could have said what's in this article and what's in a video that I'll show you in a few minutes. Instead, he just brushed it aside. Well, that was fact checked in the last debate. He didn't have these answers ready, which as governor of the fucking state, you should have those answers ready about a bill that you signed. That you knew was going to come up.
Especially debating Vance.
You're debating J.D. Vance. You know this issue is going to come up. You're running for vice president. All right. So how could you not be prepared with this answer? Again, none of this is an endorsement of Tim Walz, and this is why. The guy's a fucking idiot. He couldn't just answer this. So in a forum last week at the Rochester Public Library, Representative Dwayne Quam of Byron claimed that changes to the state's abortion law allowed an infant who survives an abortion to be set aside to die. The statement was met with disbelief from an audience member and his DFL challenger. But the Byron Republican claimed that harrowing possibility now exists because of changes to a decades-old abortion law. But what was that change? The statute's old language had required that responsible medical personnel take all reasonable measures consistent with good medical practice to preserve the life and health of the born alive infant. The legislation swapped the phrase preserve the life and health of the born alive infant for a new requirement that called on medical professionals to, quote, care for the infant who is born alive. So they changed it from a more specific form of care, which is life preservation, to just a general care, because a lot of babies who undergo this very, very tragic procedure are non-viable babies who cannot be kept alive for a long period of time once they come out of their mothers. And so in many cases, the doctors and the parents feel it's better for both the child and the mother to let the mother bond with the child for a few minutes or a few hours before they die, as opposed to rush the baby away to try and save its life when it's really not at all reasonable to do so, because the baby is just not able to live outside the womb. So once again, you're talking about a nightmare for a parent, a nightmare for a family, a nightmare for a doctor. It's the complete opposite situation that Trump says, well, they take the baby out and they kill it because the woman doesn't care, right? And this is why this creates such emotional backlash, because when women hear this, they think, well, fuck you. Like, how dare you talk about us in this way, right? To Quam, the change meant a lower standard of care, that a baby who survived an abortion can now be denied life-saving measures. What's more, he argued, the same 2023 Minnesota law got rid of a reporting requirement that obligated the state to produce a report stating the number of babies born after an attempted abortion and what happened to them. They removed that language that required that if a child survives an abortion, you must give appropriate care to help them survive, Quam said, and they went farther by removing the requirement for collecting the data. Heather Holmes, Quam's DFL challenger to represent the House District 24A, this is in the state of Minnesota, obviously, called Quam's criticisms blatantly false and misleading. The vast majority of women who lose their pregnancies at a late stage aren't seeking abortions. They are planning for a new life by painting a nursery, buying a crib, and picking out a name for the baby in hopeful expectancy. What does the bill mean? DFL Representative Tina Liebling, the bill's principal sponsor, calls the GOP interpretation of the changes a scare tactic, a flat-out lie. She says the obligation of a doctor to an infant born alive is no different from his responsibilities towards a patient who has undergone surgery. There is nothing spelled out in a statute about a doctor's responsibilities towards such a patient, and the reason the law is silent on the matter is because it's viewed as part of a doctor's job, their ethical code. The same holds true for an infant who is born alive. Doctors and hospitals have legal and ethical obligations toward their patients that an infant born alive has the rights and protections of other people, Liebling said. We don't have to dictate what the standard of care should be because it's already clear. In the House debate over the legislation in January 2023, Liebling told lawmakers that the change in language from preserve to care was to avoid tragic situations such as when an infant is delivered with a fatal defect and a doctor feels compelled to provide aggressive care regardless of the parent's wishes. So yes, what they're saying here makes perfect sense, which is that it's already in the doctor's ethical code that if a baby is born that has a reasonable chance of survival, the doctor then has an obligation to preserve the life of the baby. Right. What this law does is it gives doctors the judgment to determine if there's no reasonable chance of prolonging this baby's life, we can opt for comfort care instead. Right. That's a decision that you really want to empower doctors to make, because when the state makes that decision for doctors, that's how you get in situations where women with miscarriages can't get health care because the doctor doesn't feel like they can use their best judgment. They feel like if they judge the wrong way, the state will prosecute them. Right. Such scenarios could only compound the pain of loss. Instead of allowing parents a few moments of comfort with their child who may only have a few hours to live, a medical professional was compelled under the old law to intervene to keep the infant alive, whether or not the parents want that, and regardless of the pain it might inflict on the child. Liebling said the word care should be interpreted broadly, whether a decision is made to take extraordinary measures to prolong the life of the child or measures to be taken to provide comfort care or letting the parents hold their infants for a few minutes as it dies is a private decision best left between parents and their doctors. The old law confused the matter, and the new law removed politicians from the equation. GOP Representative Jeff Backer of Browns Valley, an opponent of the bill, fretted about the implications of comfort care and found the changes to the language inadequate and worrisome. An emergency medical technician, Backer recalled vainly trying to save the life of a baby 21 weeks into gestation in the back of an ambulance. He argued that if he had given comfort care, as he understood the phrase to mean, the infant born in the back of the ambulance, it was tantamount to murder. Okay, so Care 11, which is, I guess, a local Minnesota news channel, did a brief report on this, which I'll show in case this ties up any loose ends for you.
A born-alive infant. The old law read, a born-alive infant as a result of an abortion shall be fully recognized as a human person and be accorded immediate protection under the law. All reasonable measures consistent with good medical practice shall be taken by responsible medical personnel to preserve the life and health of the born-alive infant. The new law removes any reference to abortion and just refers to an infant born alive. It removes the word preserve the life and health of the born-alive infant and adds the words care for the infant who is born alive.
We changed the law to be appropriate so that all children who are born access medical care that's appropriate for them. And for some of these families, the appropriate medical care is palliative care for their dying baby.
The old law required the health department to issue a born alive report, like this one in 2021, showing 5 infants born alive in abortions that didn't survive. But the Medical Association tells us it's highly unlikely they could have been saved.
In that case, the induction of childbirth is the method of abortion. It is the method of terminating a pregnancy. And so in those cases, an infant being born alive is the goal. That's the point. And they hold and spend time with that child before it passes away.
Now, the changes to the Born Alive law were made as part of the health bill in 2023. And again, the reason Democrats thought the old language was unnecessary was because doctors are already obligated to save lives. They thought the language in that law created a false impression that these are elective abortions of otherwise healthy babies that are not being cared for.
So that should clear it up for you, I think. They're not elective abortions. First of all, they're extremely rare. 5 of these happened in 2021. What did this guy cite, the CNN guy here? He cited 8. 8 babies died throughout Walz's entire tenure as governor of the state. So you're talking about an extremely rare and extremely tragic situation that is traumatic for mothers and I would imagine doctors to go through. And you're trying to paint this as this widespread problem of loose-legged women casually deciding to murder a baby 7 months into their term. That is offensive to women. That is why women are not voting for you in the numbers you need them to. That is why you're losing the suburbs. And that is why you are in danger of losing perhaps the most winnable election of my lifetime. It's that simple. You have no case here. And every time you try to make a case here, you fucking embarrass yourself. Or worse, you try and smear mothers who have to make the most gutting decision they've ever made in their lives. This is the most gutting decision a mother has to make, is to abort an unviable pregnancy. And you're trying to tar them as whores who just casually wake up one morning and decide, hey, I thought I wanted this baby, but I don't. Let's go kill it. It's really a disgusting thing to do, and they are reaping what they sow on this issue.
This is part of why the argument of Trump as the lesser of two evils is just not holding up for me over time. When you look at things like this, because the Democrats cry wolf so much about culture war stuff that, frankly, in many cases, they're on the wrong side of by most reasonable standards, there's a tendency to go, yeah. No, but this is serious. This is not, your son puts on a dress, so they need to be on puberty blockers. This is for real. This is a legitimate concern. And you don't need to tell me about the hypocrisy of the Democrats and about the fact that they never codified Roe v. Wade when they could have because they wanted to fundraise on it.
Absolutely.
Yes, but their position is not an anti-abortion position. The position of this party, the official position of this party, is this demonizing women who aren't even getting elective abortions, putting re-traumatizing people who have already suffered the most horrible thing parents can go through. So you're going to look to these people as, say what you will, but Trump said a couple things that suggest that maybe possibly on a Thursday, if the moon is full, he won't be as bad on Ukraine.
Right.
No. And you want to talk, look, I don't throw this around a lot because we know how it's used by the libs. It's a pretty fucking privileged position to say, well, you know what? I don't think they're going to throw me off the internet for misgendering somebody. So I'm going to ignore this. And I'm going to pretend these people are civil libertarians. They're not fucking civil libertarians. Donald Trump, this aside, Donald Trump has said that he wants people to go to jail for flag burning. Donald Trump has said that he wants to deport people who are pro-Palestine out of the country. They are not fucking civil libertarians. There's a certain band of kind of anti-woke things that, sure, they're not censorious about because they agree with that position.
Right.
So they're not going to be censorious about that. They'll be just as censorious about their crazy shit, of which this is a part. So what do you mean lesser of two evils? In what way? In what sense?
Well, also what I would say as it pertains to this issue is even if you take Donald Trump at his word that he would veto a national abortion ban, right? Which, again, he promised to take care. He promised to make sure everyone had health care in 2016 when he ran. Yeah. He promised that. He promised
we're going to be the best health care anybody's ever seen.
We're not going to have people dying out on the streets. And what happened when the Republicans passed a bill through the House that would have done just that? Donald Trump said, it's a beautiful plan, get it to my desk and I'll sign it. And the only reason that didn't happen is because John McCain turned his thumb down. But Donald Trump was ready to sign whatever they got.
John McCain was dying and he was afraid of hell.
Yeah, right.
That's
exactly.
the only reason that didn't pass.
Exactly. But Trump was ready for all his promises. He was ready to go back on them. And because he's a lazy fuck, he doesn't want to do the work of saying, no, we have to change this, this, and that. He's just a lazy fuck, wants to sit around and say, yeah, get the bill to my desk and I'll sign it. So, yeah, there's no reason to trust that he wouldn't sign whatever gets to his desk. But let's say you do trust that he would veto a national ban. This kind of rhetoric around an issue like this, that's why I showed the video and read the article and showed you the TV report on the law. That kind of rhetoric about an issue that is this serious and this personal to so many people just makes voters hate you to the point where they don't even think whether you'd veto a national ban. They're not even going to get into the weeds of what you would actually do tactically as a politician surrounding the issue. When they hear you talk like that, they fucking hate your guts. They're going to vote against you.
Right.
And this is why the election is as close as it is, because the Democrats are collapsing amongst all of these groups, as we covered at the beginning of the show, that historically vote Democrat: black voters, Arab voters, Latino voters, union voters. But this collapse in the suburbs is so seismic that it's keeping the Democrats in the game. In an election, they have no business, much less winning. They have no business being anywhere close in this election. But this is exactly how you lose winnable elections.
Yep.
If you're the Republicans. All right. That is our show. We got some super chats and Rumble rants to read. But Russell, if you want to duck out, you can. It's 11:30.
All right.
All right. So Russell is going to say goodbye.
How many we got?
We got quite a few, actually. Yeah, we got quite a few. Here, I'll start reading, and if you want to duck out, you can. Sparky, for $10, says, I believe that sometimes interests and talents can be in family blood. Well, yeah, you should actually probably, because I got to do the patron scroll, too. So, yeah, it's going to take some time.
All right, folks. Thank you very much. It's been lovely here in D.C., and next time I'll see you back in ye old home studio.
All righty. Russell's going to go enjoy the sights, and I'm going to stay here and hang out.
I'm going to go smear my shit on the walls of Congress, folks.
Right, exactly.
Like a great ape.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny.
All right. See y'all.
All righty. We'll see you. Russell Dobler, everybody. All righty, folks. We are going to take your Rumble rants and your super chats here in just a minute. I have to pull up our supporter scroll here, but thank you guys very much for being here today. Appreciate you all. If you would like to, what the hell happened here? Is the supporter scroll not working? Oh no, it is. Sorry, I made a typo. There it is. Beautiful. Okay. All righty, folks. So if you would like to support this program, you can do so by becoming a member. You can become a member at patreon.com/DoDissidents. You can go to DoDissidents.substack.com, or you can join our locals. That's Patreon, Substack, and locals. Those are the three sites. Locals is easy to join if you're watching on Rumble right now. You just hit that bright red join button underneath the video player. Perks include your name up in lights here on the scroll. You also get call-in access to our post-show Q&As every Sunday night over on Rumble. And you get 2 supporter streams per month, 2 private patron-only shows where you get call-in access. Those are really fun, interactive live streams that we have a good time with. So you also get the goodwill of supporting independent media with your membership. It starts at $5 a month. Like I said, name up in lights on the show notes. You also get call-in access to the Q&As plus bonus live streams every month. Thank you, guys. You are the backbone of the show, as we say over and over again. To my 2 favorite Jews, Shana Tova, and may Gollum never find you. May the Golem never find you. Thank you for that, Pablo Diablo. Appreciate that very much. Because 67, thanks for the $20. Oh, I wish Russell were around for this one. This is a funny one. This is one of my favorites. I'm listening to Daryl Cooper's podcast, episode 36. Mangala discovered the cure for polio before Salk. That's a good one. I wish he stuck around for that. Thank you, though. Appreciate that. That's very funny. Stoop Sign says, Oy, so much Menashevitz wasted before that argument. Go to Gaza, he says. He really needs his head examined after a good schwitz. That's right, Stoop Sign. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Chet's mom here. Republicans are nowhere near as scary about abortion as Dems are horrifying dungeons and cattle prods about ending free speech. Like I said, Chet's mom, no argument from me. Like I said, there's no lesser evil in this race. That's my opinion. So I'm not arguing with you there. Judy Denmark, thanks for the $10, said, just don't understand how having a homeland turns Zionist Jews into Nazis, trying to justify the Nakba. By the way, vote for Jill Stein. Send a message. Yeah, it's a very racist strain of Judaism that is obsessed with bloodline and conquest. That's what it is. And I think you're absolutely right. Dubs20. Dubs B. Sorry, thanks for the 20. Dubs B. You guys rock. Thanks for addressing my comment. Loves Russell's interview with Matt Taibbi at Rescue the Republic. Thank you. Yes, that came out good. We'll be dropping some more footage from that event as well. In your dreams, Pedro, thanks for the $5. This Vega clip made me laugh and cry. He's so fucking brave. As Malcolm X quote says, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. All empires fall. Yes, thank you very much for that. All right, folks, let's go here to... Oh, I'm supposed to read this for our Rumble peeps here. Let me read this here. Sorry, almost forgot. There's a Rumble sponsored conference coming up. What? Okay, something's wrong with it. All right, something malfunctioned. Okay, so I guess I'm off the hook for that. I guess I don't have to. All right, here. You know what I'm going to do then? I'm going to read this one instead. This one's working. All right. This is one we love. So in today's world, standing up for what you believe in can come with challenges, and that's why so many have turned to Give, Send, Go, the fundraising platform that stands for freedom and backs those who won't back down. Yes, so Give, Send, Go is different from your other fundraising platforms like GoFundMe because it is about community and hope, and unlike other fundraising sites, Give, Send, Go offers personal support through their unique Hope team. Every campaign organizer gets a call offering prayer and encouragement from a team that truly cares. Plus, with that pray button, anyone can offer a message of hope to those in need, making this more than just a fundraising platform. It is a community-based crowdfunding movement. And so whether you're raising funds for personal needs or rallying people to a cause that matters, Give, Send, Go gives you the freedom and support you deserve. With over 20 categories, currencies in more than 80 countries, and more funds going directly to you. You know, our friends at the Gray Zone were censored by GoFundMe. They had a GoFundMe fundraiser. GoFundMe would not pay them out because of who they are and what they represent. And so we switched our fundraising from GoFundMe to Give, Send, Go. We use Give, Send, Go right now because they are a free speech fundraising site that will not discriminate against their fundraisers based on their views, which is hugely important in a space like this. So Give, Send, Go is our fundraising platform. They have been great to us. And if you want a platform that believes in you and your mission, give it a go at givesendgo.com. That's GiveSendGo. All righty, perfect. Okay. I was supposed to advertise the Rumble conference, but it wasn't working, so I'll have to let them know about that after the show today. All right, Sparky. Hey, thanks for $10. I believe that sometimes interests and talents can be in family blood. Some think with Gaza flattened, it's over, but many Palestinians have building in their blood. When Israel fizzles out, the huge Palestinian diaspora, coupled with BRICS investment and humanitarian help, can return to Gaza and rebuild quicker than many may think. Well, your lips to God's ears, Sparky. I certainly hope you're right about that. Tom, thanks for the $4.99. Dudes, unroasted green coffee beans. Check out Sweet Maria's. I think I've heard of Sweet Maria's. All right, I will check that out. Thank you, Tom. Todd S., thanks for the $5. The worst part is the Dems are going to do fuck all to fix it. Again, just like the last time and the time before that. That's right. Sparky, thanks for the $10. Abortion issue had lost its impact, so Uniparty had SCOTUS bring it back as a political tool. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it matters to women voters, and there's a lot of those voters. Yes, there are, Sparky. Sparky, thanks for the $2, says build a better world with bricks. Appreciate it. MMB, thanks for the $9.99. Morgan here from North Carolina. Oh, well, I hope you're doing well. Governor has completely abandoned us, or government has completely abandoned us. I guess it could go either way. Veterans are pulling bodies from houses without access to body bags. Water generators cost $30,000, and the community is trying to raise money for it. Hey, can you email us a link? Because I want to get a fundraising link for, North Carolina and the affected areas. But I just don't know which one to use. I mean, I was going to do the Red Cross, but then people say there's problems with the Red Cross. And so if you have a link, please send it to us. An email, dudissidence@gmail.com. Thank you for that, MMB. Let's see here. Oh, boy. El Casador, did Kamala keep her legs closed while bending the knees and eating more wars? Maybe she's a secret Republican and will vote for Trump because she wants to try mushroom. Thank you, El Casador. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Just copying over the last few of these. David Brad, thanks for the $5. Have we considered that the hurricane is divine punishment for the U.S. support of genocide and war? Thought this as I read a Facebook post whose profile was an Israeli flag detailing the devastation. That's what a guy like Jerry Falwell would say, right? See, that's doomer. That's black-pilled. No, I don't, because I don't think ordinary people should be made to suffer like that. And actually, on a more serious note, Russell's speech at Rage Against the War Machine, got a positive reaction when he turned his ire to Israel, as did Jimmy's bit. Jimmy was the only guy at the Rescue the Republic rally to talk about Gaza and to defend the student protesters. And actually, the audience tended to dig it. Like, ordinary people are not invested in Israel. Ordinary people do not support what's going on. That's reflected in just about every poll we see. And so, no, I don't think ordinary people should have to suffer under any of those circumstances. Miserable Lib. And let's also remind people that our support of the racist terrorist state of Israel puts the lives of Americans in danger. Yes, 9/11. Yep, absolutely. I don't know if I could read the rest of that in East Berlin, but I understand what you're saying. Grand Doodle, thanks for the $2. Appreciate that. Kenman G. Chapel Roan deserves credit for refusing to endorse Democrats or Republicans. Hope for next generation. Okay, so yeah, it's funny with the Chapel Roan thing. So, Russell is, what is he, about 16, 17 years my senior, something like that. But he's much more hip than I am, even though he's a little older than I am. He's much hipper than I am. I have no idea who this Chapel Roan person is. I have not followed that at all. I have no knowledge of the situation whatsoever, except that it's a thing going on somewhere that a lot of people are upset about. So Russ is going to put together a piece on that, I think, for Sunday's show, because he has been much more on top of that than I have. But yes, we do plan on covering that soon. Alrighty, folks, I think that's everything. I think we did everything we had to do today. I'm going to follow our friend, Mrs. Ellen Jimerson's advice and get some tea and some lemon and try and rest off this cold for the next couple of days, since I finally have a couple of days where I get the opportunity to take a little bit of a break. So I will be starting that break right about now. We will be back here on the main show live Sunday evening, October 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern. We will be premiering Ruckus, our documentary about Jose Vega, on October 5th, 1 month to go before Election Day. So October 5th at 8 p.m., we will be premiering that here along with a special statement from Jose and his campaign. So mark your calendars for that. Be here at 8 o'clock. We're not live that night. We are premiering that video that night. And then we are live again, once again, 8 p.m. Eastern. Live again Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern at our regular scheduled time. So thank you all very much for being here today. Thank you to our Rumblers. Thank you to our YouTubers. Please hit that like button on the way out. Please hit that subscribe button on the way out if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that follow button on the way out if you're watching on Rumble. We'll see you in the chat Saturday for the premiere of the Vega documentary, and we will see you Sunday night back here live, 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks for waking up with us this morning, everybody. Be safe and be well. Courage.
Please clap.